Hello, good evening, everyone. Am I audible?
Yes, Miss, you're audible.
Okay,
Good
thank
evening.
you. Good evening. Right. So, everyone, today we have the last session on reading techniques. So, I would like to welcome all of you, and I hope you can see my slides as well.
Yes, we can see.
All right. Thanks a lot, Augusta. Right. So I don't have to talk too much at the beginning today because I think I see a lot of familiar names. So I'm guessing that some of you have already joined the previous sessions. So you know that I really like to have a very interactive session. And so again, just a brief reminder today, not a long discussion, just to be online throughout the session and to participate actively, ask questions, share your answers, and also to have a little bit of fun. Plus, to clarify any doubts that you have, right? So stay online, do the activities, and enjoy the session today, and mostly try to make sure that you benefit from all of these wonderful sessions, because these are topics that really gives you a long-term benefit, not just for a month or 2 months period, right? So if you learn skills for reading, writing, grammar, that will last you for a lifetime, right? So these sessions will add a lot of value. Oh, okay. Navya says this is our first session. Okay, Navya. So does that mean I have to explain the whole thing again? Right. So briefly, I will just tell everyone that normally in my sessions, I don't want any of you multitasking, right? So stop all the multitasking, checking emails, right? And do not put me on record, right? Don't put me on the recorder and just walk away from the session, because usually these sessions are very beneficial if you are there with me, seated and with a pen and paper, because last time, of course, last two sessions that I did were on writing techniques. So I'm wondering why Navya did not join, because usually writing techniques are, that's a very important session, right? So anyway, and usually we did a lot of games and online activities and quizzes and a lot of stuff. So today, of course, again the same scenario, we are going to do a lot of hands-on activities and also have a little bit of fun. So I just want all of you to be online and not to just send it to a record or recording, or just do other stuff, right? So let's dive into today's session, because reading techniques, as I said in both my previous sessions on grammar and writing skills, reading is actually one of the fundamental skills that leads to a huge impact on all the other skills, right? So reading is actually neglected by a lot of people, not just in our country, but in a lot of other countries as well. So here is an area where all of you can very easily benefit from additional training, right? So the more you get training on reading, the better you become. You become better at evaluation, understanding, comprehension, analysis, all of these skills as well. So let's look at our session objectives for today. We will talk a little bit about what is correct reading, what is correct reading, how do you recognize good reading from bad reading. Okay, so in other words, like, how do you know if you are reading correctly? Because unlike in speaking, where you get immediate feedback, right? So if you make a mistake while you're speaking in English, and you got something wrong, people will immediately give you a feedback, either from their body language or from their, words. They will say something to you. But unlike in writing, or sorry, unlike in speaking, or rather writing, you normally don't get feedback from other people on your reading, unless of course you do business communication papers or an IELTS papers like that, right? So if any of you are planning to do these exams in the future, I think today's session will be really helpful to you, because we are going to focus a little bit on what is meant by correct reading. So there's a little bit of theory from linguistics also, which will really benefit all of you. And as I always say, while I'm doing the session, if you have any questions, clarifications, you can always use your microphone. If you are shy to use your microphone, you can always use your chat and send me your questions, right? It will help the others also in the session to learn about these additional areas, because of course, within 2 to 2.5 hours, we can't cover everything. And you must also realize that different people have different uh, ability levels in the reading skills. So it's not possible to cover all areas in just one session, right? But I think I have lined up a lot of interesting discussion points and activities for your benefit. So then we will, of course, talk to you. I will also talk to you about factors that you need to acquire reading, right? Because reading is not something that you can easily learn inside the classroom only. You need to do acquisition also, right? You need to තමන් තනියෙන් යම් කිසි කොටසක් කරගන්නත් ඕනේ. Reading කියන දේ අමාරු වෙන්නේ අන්න ඒ නිසා. අනිත් skills එක බැලුවහම අපිට classroom එකකින්ම පමණ මේ reading කියන දේ හදාගන්න බෑ අනිවාර්යයෙන්. So you need to acquire certain areas of your reading skills, right? Not just from the classroom environment. Then I will talk to you about why we need to read, the purposes of reading, right? What you generally read, but not in detail. These are, you of course understand this. So all of these topics, actually, I have customized it, right, to suit for management, students of management, students of finance, students of accountancy, because I mean there are slight differences when it comes to reading as well. So I mean, as professionals, how do you read something? If you want to get career progression, how do you read? Okay, how do you make sure that your time is saved when you are reading? I must say, now I'm having a lot of heavy rain here, everyone. So if I'm not audible and clear, please do drop me a message and let me know. So then we will focus on various difficulties that I have seen my students face. Okay, so some of these difficulties will discuss with you, and I will give you a lot of interesting strategies to improve your reading skills, right? So if you miss any of these sections, the next section that you hear in the session will not be very clear to you, right? So you need to listen carefully. You need to make sure that you are taking notes down and you are doing the activities so that you fully understand what is meant by real reading as opposed to artificial reading or fake reading. Okay, because I think a lot of students are doing a lot of fake reading these days. So as always, right, usually in my sessions, we always start with a little activity, right? Today I thought of starting with a little quote. This is a very famous thing. I hope all of you know about this quote. So there's a famous saying, today very famous people like Warren Buffett, right? Um, and then who else now? Virgin's owner, who is Branson, right? Richard Branson. All of these people have kept on saying again and again how much they dedicate their time for reading something every day, right? So all business leaders, actually, what I have heard is they always emphasize on good reading skills and the ability to read every day. So no wonder that we have this saying, today a reader, tomorrow a leader, right? So remember that if you don't have good reading skills, most of the other areas, very specifically your writing skill, your grammar skills will be directly impacted by it. Okay, so here is my first activity for all of you, right? What is reading to you, right? Don't look at the internet, don't look at your phone, don't look at a dictionary. I want all of you to go to your chat and I want you to send me a simple answer for this. What is reading? What I mean by this is, what is good reading? Okay, so what is reading to you? I am giving 2 minutes to everyone, and I want you to use your chat and send me one sentence answer. Okay? Just send me one sentence explaining what reading is. Okay? What is reading, everyone? Send me your sentence in the chat. Okay, very good. Kasuni has already sent the first answer. Good effort, Kasuni. Others, I want you to hurry up and let's see how many of you can very, very quickly respond to this question. Very good. Shakir has sent a long answer. Yeah, very good. Shakir, very good elaborate answer. I can't see the name, but then somebody else has also sent in the answer. Yes, okay, that's a wonderful idea by MH. I don't know who MH is. Komodo has also sent. Yeah, very good, Komodo. So different people, this is brilliant, right? Because whenever you are sending answers, you are clarifying things to yourself. උදාහරණයක් විදිහට දැන් අපි මේ වගේ online session එකක participate කරන එකේ වටිනාකම ඒක තමයි. මොකද එක එක අයගේ උත්තර වලින් එක එක පැති අපිට බලා ගන්න පුළුවන්. ඉතින් හරිම ලස්සනයි. මොකද ඔයගොල්ලෝ ඔක්කොම නිකන් බකමූණ වගේ ඉන්නේ නැතුව මොනවා හරි එවනකොට හැමෝටම ආස හිතෙන. තව කෙනෙක් දෙයක් ඉගෙන ගන්න පුළුවන් ඕගලන්ගේ උත්තර. So it's very important that you always become very active in your online sessions and participate, right? Be active, ask questions, participate by sending answers, responses, right? Sending your thoughts. All of these need to be done in order to have a very, very good learning experience. The problem with our country is that we become, I think the lecturers also sometimes become very passive. They just talk, right? And the students have become even more passive. So what happens is that it creates a very, very boring learning environment. So remember, you are part of this, you're a stakeholder in the learning process, right? I'm just one party and all of you are the other party. So list answers. Yeah. Okay, very good. Sandhya is talking about another new area in reading. Now, see, these are very delicate areas that no one really kind of talks about in reading. Okay, how we gather information through reading about our own environment. This is a new area, and okay, I'm saying new area, but it has been discussed throughout in the Western world, but we are always behind now. So that's why we feel that it's new, but it's a very good point that you know who Sandhya is making, right? Yeah, Himal is talking about the existing knowledge. So this is another very important theory. Actually, Himal is talking about a theory in reading comprehension. Okay, so see how many good things you already know. Abhishek is there today. So Abhishek is also, I hope it's the same Abhishek. Okay, I don't know if it's a different Abhishek. Yeah, okay, very good. So Abhishek is also talking about the written word, which is like fantastic, right? Because now see, I think all of us are talking about the same concept, but look at all the answers in the chat. What do these answers tell us, everyone, about reading, right? All your answers, it's like a gem, no? A gem. It starts, there are many facets to a gem. නේ අර මේ මැණික් ගලක් ගත්තහම මැණික් ගලේ විවිධ පැති වලට විවිධ වර්ණන එන්නේ. ඒ වගේ දෙයක් තමයි මෙතන. එතකොට reading කියන concept එක හරිම ගැඹුරු concept එකක්. So ඕගලන්ගේ උත්තර වලින්ම අපිට ඒක මතුවෙනවා නේ. So the concept of reading, it cannot be very easily. But I'm very happy that all of you gave it a try and you did it from your own perspective, because that's very important. Why do you need reading, right? You need to have an idea about it. So remember, reading is a very complicated concept which is beyond definition, right? Which is beyond definition, because reading can actually accommodate a large number of things, right? On one hand, it's about the printed thing. On the other hand, it's about the psychology or the personality of a person. On the other hand, it's about the objective world. On the other hand, it's about the subjective world, right? So there are so many theories about what good reading is, and therefore, all of you, from the very first activity, you have demonstrated the complexity of understanding good reading. Okay. But despite all of that, I'm going to give you a very basic definition so that all of us are to a certain extent clear. දැන් මම මේ කියන දේ කරන දේ පොඩ්ඩක් කියන දෙයට විරුද්ධයි. මොකද reading කියන එක අපිට define කරන්න බෑ කියලා මම කිව්වා. නමුත් අර අපේ session එකට පොඩ්ඩක් උදව් වෙන්න ඕන නිසා මම definition එකක් දෙනවා. හරි? So here is the next part of your activity. Now all of you told me what is reading now, right? I want all of you to do something for me now. So here is what I want you to do. Find out what is by reading. So here is a very simple definition, and I'm giving exactly 1 minute. Okay, I'll give you 2 minutes because you have to type this also, no? So either you can use your mobile, you can use your microphone, or you can use your chat. I want you to put this sentence into the correct format, right? You don't have to add anything. You don't have to delete anything. Just put the words in the correct order. And this is a definition, simple definition about good writing. Good reading. Okay. So 2 minutes to everyone. Let's see who can send and jumble this very, very fast and tell us what reading is. You don't need to add or delete anything. Just put the words in the correct grammatical order. Then you will get the definition, simple definition for what reading is. Okay, very good. We have one answer. Let's see if the answer is correct. Prabhashi, very good job, Prabhashi, right? You're the first to send the answers, but I want the others also to give it a try. Let's see who gets the answer fast and most accurate. Okay, so while you were doing it, very good. MH has sent in the answer. Very good job, Sandhya. Good job. Right? You guys are doing reading when you are doing this activity, right? So that's what I wanted to explain. So everyone must do this, because if you can't unscramble this sentence, that means you definitely have a lot of issues with your reading skills, right? And not to mention your grammar may not be very good. So everyone who has a fairly good reading skill and a fairly good grammar skill can definitely unscramble this sentence, right? It's a little fun also, because I'm not going to because I'm not really asking you to write the whole thing, right? I'm just giving it and you just need to unjumble it. But of course, you have to type it out to send it to me. Komodo, very good job, Komodo, right? Who else? Can all of you give it a try, right? If you are lazy, if you are tired, if you don't want to type it, at least write it in your notebook, right? Because I want all of you to just remember a few things that are important in this definition. Okay, very good. Okay, let's see if it is 100% correct. Anushka, very good. Shamani, good. There are jumbled areas still in your sentence. Okay, just have a quick look at it and correct it if you can. Okay, so since we have to save a little time, I want everyone to write this down in your notebook, because there are, as I said, very important areas you need to remember. Now, what is the very first thing you learned today? about reading. We learned that reading is beyond definition, right? Meaning that it's a very complicated, complex process, right? So, but I'm producing this definition so that everyone understands some basic concepts about the concept of reading. එතකොට අපි යම් කිසි definition එකක් අවශ්‍යයි නේද? එතකොට ඒක නිසා විතරයි මම definition එක දෙන්නේ. නමුත් ඇත්තටම කියනවා නම් අර ඔයගොල්ලෝ කිව්වා වගේ කලින් reading කියන එක ඇත්තටම define කරන්න හරිම අමාරු concept එකක්. මොකද ඒ තරම්ම ගැඹුරු සංකල්පයක් වෙන නිසා, right? Okay, I've just been talking because I wanted more people to send in the answer. So I can see that Anton has sent, Vishek has sent in the answer. Okay, so let's move to the correct response. I want you to check your answer against this definition and check word to word, right? බලන්න හැම වචනෙම හරි තැනද දාලා තියෙන්නේ කියලා, because when we were discussing grammar the other day, I told you English is a fixed language word, fixed word order language, right? English is a fixed word order language, so you cannot put any word anywhere. There are specific places for certain words to go, right? So here is the answer. Check yours against it and correct if there are any mistakes, right? Oh, okay. Thanks, Sanjit, for telling me that. How about the others, everyone? Because Sanjit says that I'm lagging and my connection is clear. Is it the same for? Because I'm having rain here and it's thundering as okay. So give me a minute. I'm going to switch to. Give me 1 second. Okay, I'm going to switch to my other network. Let's see if it is working. Okay. Okay. Everyone, I have switched to the other network. Am I clear now? Am I lagging? Still the connection, is it lagging? Is it clear? Okay, thanks, Sandhya, right? So please do let me know again if because I think the network just let me know if there is any issue, and so that yeah, so that's probably the issue, I think. Right, give me a second. I'm just going to try something out. Just Okay, can all of you check now? Is it still lagging when I'm talking to you? Or is it now okay? Can you understand what I'm saying now? Oh, it's no lagging now, okay, is it? So I'll just continue to talk. Same issue, no? Yeah. So let me again switch to the earlier one, but I sorry everyone. So I just tried opening all the windows as well. Now you might, I don't know what the noise level is now, but if it is still difficult and if it continues to thunder, I might have to switch off the equipment also, right? So let's see how it goes. Am I still lagging? Okay. Thanks, Kumudun. Right? Thank God. Okay. So hopefully, if it is this level, I think we can manage. But if the rain gets tougher, heavier, and the thundering continues, I might have to log out from the session. So let's see how things go, right? Okay, so I'll just repeat what I said before. So today, the very first thing that you learned is that reading is a very complicated concept that defies definitions. එතකොට reading කියන සංකල්පය හරි අමාරුයි අපිට definition එකක් ඇතුලේ හිර කරන්න. මොකද විවිධ අය විවිධ ක්‍රමවලට සහ විවිධ තේරුම් ඇතුව reading කියන දේ කරන. right? දැන් අපි බලන්නේ නිතරම professional කෙනෙක් විදිහට කොහොමද read කරන්නේ කියන දේ තමයි. right? So, but in order to maintain some sort of consistency, I'm giving you this simple definition. So I just want all of you to compare this sentence on the slide with your answers, right? So did you get it correctly? Because it's a very simple reading activity actually. What you did is a very basic reading activity. එතකොට reading කියන එකේ තව එක්තරා පැතිකඩක් තමයි අපි මේ පළවෙනි activity එකෙන් කරේ. එතකොට යම් කිසි දෙයක් read කරනකොට ඒක grammar වියවුල් නම්, ඒ කියන්නේ grammar අවුල් නම් අපි ඒක හරියට දාගන්න දැනගන්න. ඒත් අපේ reading skill එක හොඳයි නම් අපි ඔක්කොටම ඒක නැවත වතාවක් හරි තත්ත්වයට පත් කරගන්න පුළුවන්. So what you experience with the first activity is another aspect of reading. Okay, so if your reading skill is good, you can unscramble this sentence and you also realize the sentence is not correctly written, right? So you can unscramble it and put it into the correct order so that it generates a clear idea, right? Now let's come to the definition very quickly. Reading is a cognitive process of decoding symbols to derive meaning from the text. Okay, so let's look at the word cognitive. Okay, what do you understand by the word cognitive? Let's say, can one of you give me a synonym for cognitive? What do we mean cognitive? What is cognitive? No, that's a good effort, Anton, but cognitive doesn't mean complex. Does anyone know what is meant by cognitive? No, but it's a good effort, mixed neme. It's not rational, it's not knowledgeable, right? Okay, right, good effort. I appreciate that, but cognitive means it relates to your mind, the psychological level, right? එතකොට මෙතන මොකක්ද මේ කියන්නේ reading කියලා කියන්නේ අපි මනස සම්බන්ධ යම් කිසි process එකක්. So ඊළඟ ප්‍රශ්නේ තමයි මොකද්ද මේ process කියලා කියන්නේ, right? So reading is a step-by-step activity. That is why you call it a process. දැන් අද ලංකාවේ අපි ගොඩක් වෙලාවට මොකද්ද කරන්නේ? reading කියලා අපි කරන්නේ එකපාරට දෙයක් බලනවා ඒක reading කියලා හිතා ගන්න, right? So this is why I want you to focus on the definition, right? It's a cognitive process, means that හැම පුද්ගලයාගේම මානසිකත්වයත් සමග සම්බන්ධ වෙලා තියෙන යම්කිසි step by step activity එකක්. එකපාරින් කරන්න පුළුවන් දෙයක් නෙමෙයි reading කියලා කියන්නේ, right? So remember that reading is connected to your mind and the subconscious level, and it is a process where you have to pass several steps of decoding. You need to decode, right? You need to break certain things into pieces, and then you need to reassemble them, right? දැන් බලන්න මේ චූටි definition එක ඇතුලේ ලොකු තේරුමක් තියෙනවා. ඔයගොල්ලෝ හැමෝම තේරුම් ගත යුතු දෙයක් මේක. මොකද මේක නොදැන read කරන්න ගියාම හැමතිස්සෙම අපි misunderstand කරනවා, වැරදි දේවල් තේරුම් ගන්නවා, ඉගෙන ගන්නවා, right? So again, what is reading? Reading is a cognitive process, meaning that it's connected to your psychology, your mind, your subconscious, right? And it is also about breaking things into small parts, right? Decoding symbols. So breaking symbols into small parts to derive meaning. From where do you get the meaning? ඔයගොල්ලන්ගේ ඔළුව ඇතුලේ තියෙන දේ නෙමෙයි meaning කියලා කියන්නේ. මෙතන derive meaning කියන්නේ text එක ඇතුලෙන් ගන්න දෙයට. එතකොට අපි එහෙමද read කරන්න කියලා ඔයගලන්ට ප්‍රශ්නයක් අහන්න පුළුවන්, right? So what is reading, everyone? Check if you are reading in this way. Do you read like this, or do you read on a very casual surface level? මගේ නම් experience එක ගොඩාක් අය casual surface level තමයි read කරන්නේ. මේ විදිහට read කරන අය අඩුයි. right? So reading is a cognitive process. It is connected to your mind. It is connected to your subconscious. And then it is about breaking symbols into small parts and deriving meaning from the text, right? You are not creating your own ideas. You are taking ideas from the text. So if you are reading an article, reading a report from your office, right? If you are reading an audit report, if you are reading a letter from a client, what are you doing? You are supposed to make it a cognitive process. You are supposed to break symbols into small parts and reassemble them to get the meaning from the report or the letter or the memo or business article, right? නමුත් අපි ගොඩක් වෙලාට කරන්නේ ඒ දේ නෙමෙයි. අපි ගොඩක් වෙලාට කරන්නේ අපේ හිතේ තියෙන දේ මේකේ තියෙනවා කියලා වැරදියට අර්ථකථනය කරන එක. එතකොට එහෙනම් හරි රීඩින් කියලා කියන්නේ මොකද්ද? හරි රීඩින් කියන්නේ ඩොකියුමන්ට් එක ලියපු පුද්ගලයා මොනවද මේකෙන් අදහස් කරේ කියන එක ඩීකෝඩ් කරලා ඩිරයිව් කරලා ගන්න එකයි. පැහැදිලිද? එතකොට ඔයගලගේ ක්ලයන්ට් කෙනෙක් ඔයගලන්ට ලියුමක් එව්වොත් if one of your clients send if one of your clients send you a letter or an email, when you are reading the email, right, think about how you are reading it. Are you reading it by inputting your thinking into it, or are you reading by being objective and taking things out from it? Okay, so අපි නිතරම technical reading වල බලාපොරොත්තු වෙන්නේ මේ ඒ ටෙක්ස්ට් එකේ තියෙන දේ එළියට මතු කරලා ගැනීම මිසක් අපේ තියෙන දේ ඒක ඇතුළට දැමීම නෙමෙයි. එහෙනම් reading වර්ග දෙකක් තියෙන බව දැන් ඔයගලන්ට තේරෙන්න ඕන. So after you look at this definition, you need to now understand that there are two types of reading. Okay, we will talk about them later. What are the two types of reading? Okay, so don't read everything the same. That's right. Depending on the demand, you need to change your reading style. Okay, so let's move to the next part. How do you know if you are reading correctly? So now we know what is reading. I said reading is a cognitive process. You decode things and you derive meaning. You don't input meaning. තමන්ට ඕන දේ අමයා ලියලා තියෙන්නේ මේක තමයි කියලා තමන් දාගන්න. ඒක reading නෙමෙයි. එහෙම වර්ගයකුත් තියෙනවා. Right? So, but how do you know if you are reading things correctly? If you are in the office, right? As I said, your boss might ask you to look at a report. They might ask you to refer to a audit report, right? එතකොට කොහොමද ඔයගොල්ලෝ read කරන්නේ? How do you know if you are getting things right or wrong? So here are three things you need to learn. These are the strategies of reading. These are important techniques of reading. So you can actually call them the components of reading. Okay, how many components are there in reading? 3 components. So everyone, when you read, you need to go through these 3 components. If you don't do that, your reading becomes messy and the end result is always misunderstanding or misinterpretation. එහෙනම් ඇයි අපි reading ගැන කල්පනාකාරී වෙන්න ඕනේ? සමහර වෙලාවට අපි හරියට reading කියන දේ අඳුනාගත්තේ නැත්නම් අපි අපිට ඕන දේ ඒක ඇතුළට දාලා read කරගන්න. Right? එතකොට misinterpretation, misunderstanding තමයි අන්තිම result එක වෙන්නේ. Right? So make sure that you don't do that because that really has a big impact on your productivity level. කෙනෙක්ට English වලින් දෙයක් read කරලා තේරුම් ගන්න බැරි නම් එයාගේ productivity level එකට මොකද වෙන්නේ? It goes down, right? Because you need to keep on reading again and again to understand something. Or you might have to ask someone, or you end up in a conflict with somebody because you read and misinterpreted something. පැහැදිලි. So why do you have to pay attention to your reading? Because in your career, reading lays the foundation for all the other things, and it really directly connects to your productivity level. So how do you check whether you are doing the correct level of reading? Use decoding, comprehension, and retention, right? Decoding, comprehension, and retention. So let's see what these things are. I'm going to give you a brief idea, but then we are going to go into activities, right? So listen carefully, because otherwise you will not be able to do the activities correctly, right? So you can note it down if you want for future reference. That good reading involves 3 components: decoding, comprehension, and retention. Okay, so let's look at each of these items. Okay, so decoding is decoding of working out how to say or sounding out an unfamiliar written word. Okay, so whenever you are reading an email, a business report, memorandum, right? You always, all of us actually come across difficult words, words that we are not familiar with, right? Even if you don't know the meaning of the word, you still need to be able to sound it out. Okay, if it is written in English, you need to be able to sound it out. So look at this word here. Okay, let me escape from this for a moment. And I'm going to underline a word. Okay, and okay, I don't know why I can't see the names of the participants. Okay, it's there. Okay, I'll ask one person. Okay, so if I say your name, I want you to read this word out. It doesn't matter if you get it right or wrong. Okay, just we are trying to do a little activity. Okay, where was I? I think. Yeah, okay, I was here. So I want you, I'm going to underline a word here. Okay, I hope all of you are hearing me clearly now. If there is a little issue, let me know. Okay, so let's take this word here. I'm not going to read it out. I hope you can see where I'm kind of underlining, right? This word here, okay? And I'm going to call out someone. Okay, let's see. Do we have Shafni online? Shafni. Shafni, are you there? Can you just read out this word for me? Use your microphone and read it out. I can't see whether you all are there. Shafni, are you there? No?
Shafni, you can speak now. Shafni, you can speak. We have allowed you to speak.
Subtextually.
Yeah. Can you read it again, please?
Subtextually.
There you go. Wonderful effort, right? So, Shafni, do you know the meaning of this word?
Don't know.
Oh, very good, right? So that is exactly my point. If you are a good reader, the first stage is that, like Shafni, all of you should have the ability to read out, sound out difficult words. Whether you know the meaning or does not know the meaning, it really doesn't matter, right? So whenever you are reading something, ask yourself, if you are reading an office email, right? If a client has better than you, they might say better in email in English, right? So when you get it, just question yourself. මේ වචනේ මම දන්නවද? හරි දන්නේ නැත්නම් මට මේක අඩුම ගානේ sound out කරන්න පුළුවන්. So decoding is the very first stage of good reading. Okay, so occasionally there'll be very weird words in English, right? Let's say, for example, Sherlock Holmes, right? So when you write Holmes, how do you spell it? Does anyone know? Because I can't see all the names of the attendees, so I'm not going to call out again. But if anyone knows how to spell it, just use your microphone and tell me. How do you spell Holmes? Sherlock Holmes, not just Holmes, right? How do you spell Holmes? Anyone?
Dear student,
Yeah,
if you
very
want
good.
to speak,
And
please raise your hand.
sorry, can you repeat this? Sorry, I didn't hear what you said. Can you repeat? Okay. Shakir says can't mute by our side. Okay.
Miss Chamika, hello. Yeah, Aruna. I was
Yes.
speaking from CC
Yes,
Lanka.
Aruna. Yes.
Now, if students want to speak, they will have to raise the hand. They have raised the hand, then we can allow them to speak. Then I can see. from
Okay,
here, we can
yes.
allow.
Can all of you please, like, if you know the answer, please raise your hand. Then I think Aruna will unmute you.
Yeah. Now I see one attendee is there.
Okay.
Raising hand. Who is Abhishek? Abhishek? You can speak.
Abhishek is there.
Abhishek.
Yes, Abhishek. How do you spell Holmes?
Holmes.
Yeah? Sorry?
Holmes.
Very good. Very good. So we never say Sherlock Holmes, right? දන්නේ නැති අය නම් එහෙම කියනවා මම අහලා තියෙනවා ලංකාවේ, right? අපි ඉතින් ඕන දෙයක් කියන්නේ නේද? කද්ද රිබන් කිව්වම කද්ද රිබන්. Right? So එහෙම නෙවෙයිනේ නේද? There is a particular way of doing engaging in English. So as Abhishek said, Anton has sent the answer. You write surname Holmes, you never say Holmes, right? But L එකක් තියෙනවා. So this L is particularly silent. So in English, all of these are part of your decoding skills, right? Now, that's a great way for all of you to check whether you're a good reader. If you're a good reader, most of the time, I would say about 90 to 95% of what you are reading, you are able to sound out despite of knowing the meaning or not, right? You are able to sound it out despite of not knowing the meaning or not. එතකොට තමන් යම් කිසි වචනයක තේරුම දැනගෙන ඉන්නම ඕනේ මේ decoding කියන කොටස කරන්න. Decoding කරන්න පුළුවන් සාමාන්‍යයෙන් යම් කිසි දුරකට හොඳ reading skill එකක් තියෙන කෙනෙක්ට විතරයි. So if you know how to decode most of what you are reading in your office work, then you have completed stage number 1. But always remember English language, as all of us discuss, Abhishek, Anton, myself, there are peculiarities, right? So certain things you have to learn by memory, just like the word Holmes. You know that you never pronounce it as Holmes, right? Then CHEF. How do you spell it? How do you pronounce it? Right? A lot of people don't know. Chef කියලා. හැබැයි chef කියන වචනේ වැරදි. Chef නෙමෙයි ඒක chef. ඉතින් මේවා තමයි decoding කියන කොටසට අයිති වෙන්නේ. ඔයගොල්ලෝ දන්නවද හරියට වචනයක් spell කරන්න? Chef නෙමෙයි ඒක chef කියලා කියන්නේ, right? ඉතින් මේ වගේ ගොඩක් වචන තියෙනවා. These are peculiarities in English language, and this is part of your reading skills, right? But how many of us know about it? So what is stage number 1 in a good reader's mind? Stage number 1 is decoding. You should be able to decode, whether you know the meaning or not, you should be able to decode it, right? Second stage. Now, this is the most difficult stage in your reading process. That is called the reading comprehension, right? Now, decoding is simply looking at the letters of the alphabet and sounding the word out. But reading comprehension is much, much more deeper than that. So what we mean by reading comprehension is that you have to have the ability to understand the meaning the author is trying to convey to you. Authors, right? යම් කිසි document එකක් නිෂ්පාදනය කරන පුද්ගලයා ලියන පුද්ගලයා ක්‍රම දෙකකට මේ meaning එක අපිට කියලා දෙනවා, අපිට produce කරලා දෙනවා. එකක් අපි කියනවා textuality කියලා, textually කියලා, අනිත් එක subtextually කියලා. එතකොට now whenever you are reading business documents, you need to have a textual knowledge and you need to have a subtextual knowledge as well, right? So textual knowledge means, now imagine you receive a business report. So your boss says that, okay, I have sent you an email. I want you to look at this email and I want you to give me your recommendation from the finance perspective. What can our company do about this problem financially, right? So he is asking you for your advice. So when you look at the email, right, even though it is an email, you need to realize that what is attached is a report. So reports are written for certain purposes and there is a particular format. Now, just like in accountancy, right, you have all these accounting standards, ne IFRS or GAAP, මේවා ඔක්කොම තියෙනවනේ ඔයගලන්ට. ඒ වගේම භාෂා භාවිතයටත් යම්කිසි standards තියෙනවා. එතකොට මේවා unfortunately not like IFRS or GAAP standards, ඒවා කොහෙවත් ලියලා නැහැ. ඔන්න ඕක තමයි අපිට තියෙන ප්‍රශ්නේ. නමුත් whenever you look at a business document, like say business report, you need to understand the textual features there and you need to understand the main message by considering those textual features, right? So what I mean by that is, ඇයි කෙනෙක් email එකක් ලියන්නේ? ඇයි කෙනෙක් ඒ message එකම report එකක ලියලා එවන්නේ? ඇයි කෙනෙක් ඒ message එකම සමහර විට memo එකක ලියලා එවන්නේ? Right? මේ හැම දෙයකටම විවිධ තේරුම් තියෙනවා. So textually, if you understand it, you know what document they have used, what document format they have used, and by looking at that document format, you can understand their main purpose. So උදාහරණයක් විදිහට ඇයි අපි business report එකක් ලියන්නේ? Can someone give me an answer? Why can't that person send you an email, right? Why do you write business reports? What is the main purpose of a business report? Any ideas? What is the main purpose of a business report and why? Okay, just give me that.
Nishanti, who is Nishanti? Nishanti, you can speak.
Yeah, Nishanti.
Yeah, Nishanti, yes. Nishanti, you can unmute your mic and speak.
Nishanti, are you there? Or is it a mistake? Yeah, I can also see her hand raised.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, Aruna, it's okay. I think it must be a mistake, no? Yeah, thanks a lot. Right. So anyway, okay, then there you go. So Shakir has sent in a good answer. To describe the requirements let say if a company wants to obtain a loan, then company wants to submit business proof. Okay, yeah, true. So we have different purposes, no? As I said, why would someone write a business report as opposed to email? The obvious reason is that a business report requires much more in-depth detail, description, analysis, and a logical conclusion. Right? නමුත් ඒ වගේ දෙයක් අපිට පුළුවන් ද ලියුමකින් කරන්න. ඔයගොල්ලෝ ඒවා හිතන්න ඕනේ. දැන් lot of Sri Lankans, right? actually it's not your fault, but it's the education system. We are not actually given this critical training in our school period, right? Especially because English is not your mother tongue. All of us have learned English as a second language. අපිට මේ දේවල් පේන්නේ නැහැ ගොඩක් වෙලාවට. අපි read කරනවා automatically, right? We just read without knowing what we are doing. අර පාරේ යන්නෙත් අපේ අය වගේනේ. නේද? වාහනයක් තියෙනවා රෝදේ කැරකෙන නිසා කරකවනවා. හැබැයි ඒකේ යම්කිසි ඒකේ responsibility එකක් තියෙනවා, ඒක මූල ධර්මයක් තියෙනවා, ethics කියලා දෙයක් තියෙනවා පාරේ යනකොට. ඒව හිතන්නේ නැහැනේ අපි අය. නේ රෝදේ කැරකෙනවා කරකවන හැම පැත්තටම කරකවනවා. හෝන් එක තියෙන නිසා ඒක ගහාගෙනම යනවා. යනකම් ගෙදරට යනකම් හෝන් එක ගහන අය ඉන්නවා. ඉතින් ඒ වගේ තමයි රීඩින් කරන්නේ. හැබැයි අර පාරේ යනකොට අඩුම ගානේ පොලිසියෙන් ටිකට් එකක් දෙනවනේ වැරදියට යනකොට ඉඳලා හිටලා හරි. නමුත් රීඩින් වැරදියට කරා කියලා ටිකට් එකක් දෙන්න කෙනෙක් නෑ අපිට. ඉතින් ඒක නිසා අපේ මේ hidden skills ඔක්කොම දැන් ගොඩාක් අවුල් වෙලා තියෙනවා. So you face a lot of problems when you have to face international exams like IELTS, TOEFL, දැන් මේ ගොඩාක් ළමයි යනවනේ රට. ඉතින් එතකොට තමයි මේවට ඇත්තටම අර පොලිසියෙන් ටිකට් දෙනවා වගේ ටිකට් හම්බ වෙන්නේ, right? But then you waste a lot of your money because remember these exams cost about like 50,000, 60,000, 70,000 for just one exam. Right? ඉතින් මේ වගේ විශාල වියදමක් ඔයගලන්ට කරන්න වෙනවා. ඉතින් අද session එක I think August, Anura and all of them are giving you these sessions because you can then, you get the maximum benefit for your future, right? So remember textuality, understanding the document type, the document conventions, and knowing why these documents are written is very important. Second part is subtextually. Subtextually means always whenever we are writing, we are using a lot of references. References in the sense indirect references and direct references. So when you are writing a business document, like say for example, there's a sentence your client has written. For example, someone might say that we do not want to see a repetition of the let's say something like now I forget the word, hold on, not Acorn, I forget the company's name. Okay, so let me put another sentence. We do not want to see a repetition of the Easter bombings, right? So let's say they sent you a document with that sentence. So if you are a foreigner, let's say I'm a foreigner and I received that document, and if I don't know anything about the history of the Sri Lankan economy, I don't understand that reference to the Easter bombing, right? So we don't want a repetition of the Easter bombing situation with regard to the economy. අපිට තේරෙන්නේ නැහනේ ඇයි මෙයා මොකද්ද මේ ඊස්ටර් බොමින් කියන එකෙන් අදහස් කරේ කියලා. අන්න ඒ වගේ බිස්නස් ඩොකියුමන්ට්ස් වල ඉතිහාසය සහ අනාගතය සම්බන්ධයෙන් ගොඩාක් සබ්ටෙක්ස්චුවල් දේවල් ලියලා තියෙනවා. ඒක නැචරල් හියුමන් රයිටින් ටෙක්නික් එකක්. එතකොට මේක නවත්තන්න බෑ අපි කාටවත්. අපි හැමෝටම ඩොකියුමන්ට් එකක් ලියනකොට ලෝකයේ පිළිබඳ දැනීමක් අවශ්‍යයි. Enron. Okay, so now only I remember the company's name, Enron. So Enron is one of the biggest failures in the business world, because of ethics and all that. ඉතින් ඒ වගේ අර ඔය වගේ ලොකු දේවල් අපි දැනගෙන ඉන්න ඕනේ. එහෙම නැත්නම් අපේ subtextual knowledge එක නැති වෙනවා. එතකොට ඔයගලන්ට ඉංග්‍රීසි අමාරුයි කියලා හිතනවා. හැබැයි ඇත්තටම ඉංග්‍රීසි නිසා නෙමෙයි එතන reading වරදින්නේ. reading වරදින්නේ අපේ ලෝකයේ පිළිබඳ තියෙන දැනුම දුර්වල නිසා, right? So subtextual knowledge, subtextual meaning actually refer to the outside world, the history, the contextual nature of whatever subject you are writing in your document, right? So again and again I'm repeating to everyone, Your reading skill is very closely connected to your writing skill. So your writing skills are very closely connected to your reading skills, right? එතකොට ඔයගොල්ලෝ යම් කිසි ආකාරයක writing දුර්වල නම් ඔයගලන්ගේ reading උත් ඒ වගේම යම් කිසි ආකාරයකට effect එකක් impact එකක් තියෙනවා. ඔයගලන්ගේ reading දුර්වල නම් අනිවාර්යයෙන්ම ඒක writing වලින් පේනවා. ඒතර ඔයගොල්ලෝ read කරනවා නම් දෙයක් ඔයගොල්ලෝ writer ගැන හිතන්න ඕනේ. ඔයගොල්ලෝ write කරනවා නම් දෙයක් ඔයගොල්ලෝ reader ගැන හිතන්න. ඔන්න ඔච්චරයි උතන තියෙන formula එක, right? So remember, reading comprehension is a very deep concept. You need to understand what the author is trying to tell you, not what you want to understand. දැන් අපි ගොඩාක් අර අපේ පාර්ලිමේන්ත් එකෙත් කරන්නේ එහෙමනේ. අපේ පාර්ලිමේන්ත් එකෙත් තමන් කොච්චර වෙන කෙනෙක් වෙන දෙයක් කිව්වත් ඒක පිළිගන්න තමන්ට ඕන දේ එයා කිව්වා කියලා හිතාගෙන අපි උත්තර දෙනවා. එහෙම බෑ. First is you need to understand what the author is saying, what the speaker is saying, right? අනිත් පුද්ගලයා කියන දේ තේරුම් ගැනීම තමයි reading comprehension වල පළවෙනිම දේ. තමන්ගේ මතය ඒකට එබුවොත් reading comprehension වරදිනවා, right? So always remember, reading comprehension is very important. You need to give priority to the author or the writer of the document, and you need to stop yourself from infusing your thoughts, your opinions, your ideas about what the writer is saying. Then you need to look at the document. It can be a memo, it can be a business report, it can be an email. Look at it textually, right? Why did you receive an email? Think about it. And then look at it subtextually. Are there any references to the company's history? What happened in the history? Or are there any references to business plans in the future, the vision or the mission of the company, right? Any projects and, things that were in the pipeline, are there any references? So when you read with this subtextual knowledge, you understand what the author is trying to say. So number one, you need to develop your prior knowledge. Your prior knowledge means you need to know a lot about the world around you, right? Your environment, you have to be aware about that environment. If you are like a frog in the well, right? You only know about your accounting field or the finance field, then you will not be a very good reader. You need to develop sensitivities about the world around you. Then when you work in your office, when you read reports, when you analyze things, you start to see the connections, right? So prior knowledge is very, very important. Reading comprehension is again on another level, it is connected to your visual processing. Visual processing means how a document is laid out. I think I spoke to you about this when we were talking about writing techniques, right? In our session on writing techniques, I said even the blank space on your page when you are writing something is important. So visually, when you are a reader, when you are reading somebody else's document, you need to process it visually. Paragraphs කීයක් ලියලා තියෙනවද, images මොනවද දාලා තියෙන්නේ, titles දාලා තියෙන්නේ මොනවද, subtitles දාලා තියෙන්නේ මොනවද, මේ ඔක්කොම ඔයගලන්ට වැදගත්. ඔයගොල්ලෝ මේවා එකක්වත් බලන්නේ නැතුව ඔහේ කියෝගෙන යනවා නම් ඔයගලන්ගේ reading skill එක අනිවාර්යයෙන්ම දුර්වලයි. ඒක තමයි ප්‍රධානම හේතුව. ගොඩක් අයට තියෙන ලොකු කලබලයක්. දේවල් කියවලා ඉක්මනට ඉවර කළා වැඩේ ඉවර කරන්න තමයි තියෙන්නේ. නමුත් reading is a cognitive process. As I said before, cognitive because it's connected to your mind, process because it's a step-by-step activity, right? And finally, the third stage of reading is retention. So now you can decode, you can understand or comprehend what the author is saying correctly, but finally, you are not a good reader if your retention is bad. Okay, so reading retention means strategies and methods that you use to increase the amount of information you remember after finishing your reading. Okay, so imagine you're reading a client's email. When you finish reading it, how much can you remember out of all the important information there, right? If you can't remember the critical information, then you're a bad reader, right? So these are the three techniques. What are the three techniques of checking if you are a good reader? Number one, you need to be able to decode. Whether you know the word or not know the word, you still need to be able to decode and sound out the words that you are reading. Secondly, comprehension. Comprehension is about being objective and understanding what the author is trying to tell you, and keeping your personal opinions, personal ideas away from what is being said in the document. So that is comprehension. Thirdly, you need to remember and retain information once you finish reading. If you complete all these three stages, you are a good reader, right? So every stage you need to remember what you are doing and why you are doing it. And you need to ask yourself, how much can I understand? How much can I remember? How much did I become objective? ගොඩක් වෙලාට අපිට වෙන්නේ අපි නිතරම හරි සබ්ජෙක්ටිව් එක පාට දෙයක් කියලා අපෝ මෙයා මේ කියන්නේ මොනවාද මේවා මට අදාළ නැහැ. අපිට අදාළ නැහැ කියලා රිජෙක්ට් කරනවා. නමුත් රිජෙක්ට් කරන්න ඉස්සෙල්ලා you need to develop objectivity and read and understand, retain the information you read. ඊට පස්සේ පුළුවන් රිජෙක්ට් කරන්න. right? නමුත් අපි ගොඩක් වැරදියට දේවල් ඉගෙනගෙන තියෙන නිසා අපේ ස්කූල් සිස්ටම් එකෙනුත් අපි මේ එකක්වත් කරන්නේ අපිට තියෙන ලොකු කලබලයක් ඉක්මනට දේවල් උඩින් පල්ලෙන් කියවලා මොනවා හරි ලියලා දාන එක තමයි, especially in exam situations, right? Because I think I spoke to Augusta also many times about whenever I do a session, I always ask her to send me examiners comments. So every year I see that examiners are pointing out a lot of areas where our CA students have fallen short, right? One of which is the reading comprehension. So you are able to just take small bits and pieces correctly. But when it comes to deeper questions relating to reading comprehension, ඒවට උත්තර දී ගන්න බෑ. ගොඩක් වෙලාවට examiners ලා මට මතකයි ඒගොල්ලෝ ලියලා තියෙනවා මේ the students do not understand the questions, therefore they have picked chunks out of the paragraph and copied the entire section as the answer key, right? ඉතින් ඒකෙන් පේනවා reading comprehension කොටස ගොඩක් අයගේ දුර්වලයි කියලා, right? So your ability to understand what your employees and your superiors are writing can be the difference between getting that promotion and being passed over, right? It is that critical. So I'm not the one saying this, this I've taken from a report on reading skills, right? So your ability to understand what your employees and your superiors are writing can be the difference between getting that promotion and being passed over. So I think the previous session also I explained to you how your communication skills are connected to career progression, right? And many of you are now looking at foreign work, okay? Therefore, this is even more important, because if you go to countries like Australia, Canada, US, UK, all the countries that are popular with Sri Lankans, right? They all use English as their first language, mother tongue. හැබැයි අපිට English second language. So you must understand that you need to put a little bit of extra effort in order to be successful in those countries. එතකොට මේ මං කියන දේ හොඳට තේරුම් ගත්තොත් ඔයගලන්ට දීර්ඝ කාලීන හොඳ foundation එකක් ලැබෙනවා, right? Okay, next move on to factors influencing acquisition of reading ability. So whenever you are trying to improve your reading ability, you need to focus on these factors, right? Number one, your intelligence level. So you got to have certain level of intelligence. This also refers to your age. දැන් අර චූටිම ළමයින්ට අපි දරුණු දේවල් කියවන්න දෙන්නේ නැහැ නේ ගොඩක් complicated business documents දෙන්නේ නැත්තේ ඒක නිසා. So read things that are appropriate for your intelligence level, then you will improve. When you improve, you will want to read more demanding materials, right? So number one, select materials that are appropriate for your intelligence level. Whatever the level is, it doesn't matter, right? Then number two, the second factor you need to have is motivation. So you need to have a sense of why reading is important to you and your career. මේක තේරුම් ගන්නේ නැතුව මේ අද session එකට ආවා කියලා වැඩක් වෙන්නේ නේද? So you need to understand the benefits. It gives you the confidence level. If you're a good reader, you are naturally a good writer and good speaker. Because usually good readers have a large vocabulary. So you can impress people with your speaking power, writing power. එතකොට ඔයගොල්ලෝ ඒවා ගැන හිතුවොත් ඔයගොල්ලෝ motivate වෙනවා read කරන්න English වලින්, right? So read, because I think the last session I shared with you a lot of resources for you to use as your practice material, right? So ඒවා පාවිච්චි කරන්න ඕනේ, ඒ links බලන්න ඕනේ, ඒ දේවල් කරන්න. Home background. So usually if you're not coming from an English speaking background, you will have a fairly difficult time, but it doesn't mean that it has to continue. If you use the correct techniques I'm giving you, your home background should not have a big impact on your reading skills, right? All it needs is your motivation. Then the teaching strategies. As I said, the school system does not prepare us for proper reading in English, right? So there may be problems when you were learning English under different teachers. The teaching strategies they used might be faulty. සමහර අය vocabulary වැඩියෙන් focus කරනවා, comprehension අඩුවෙන් කරනවා, literary appreciation කියලා දෙයක් ඇත්තෙම නැහැනේ අපේ රටේ ඉංග්‍රීසි මේ syllabus එකේ හරි චූටි දේවල් කීපයක් තියෙන්නේ. අනිත් එක study skills අදටත් නැහැ. undergraduates ලට නැතිම දෙයක් තමයි මේ study skills කියන දේ. ඒතකොට ඒවා එකක්වත් අපි ඉගෙනගෙන නැත්නම් අපිට reading අනිවාර්යෙන් අමාරු වෙනවා. So school system also has a big impact on your reading skills. And then attitudes about maybe teachers, parents, siblings, all of those is also important. Like say for example, ඔයගලගේ යාළුවෝ ඉන්නවා නම් ඉංග්‍රීසි පස්සේ හදා ගන්න පුළුවන් කියලා හිතන අය, එතකොට ඔයගොල්ලෝ පොඩක් ඒ වගේ වෙනවනේ. එතකොට අර මං කලින් කිව්වා වගේ සමහර වෙලාවට මට ඇහිලා තිනවා ඉංග්‍රීසි මීඩියම් ඉගෙන ගන්නවා නම් ඔච්චර වද වෙන්න ඕනේ නැහැ. ඉබේම ඉංග්‍රීසි හරියයි. ඒ වගේ කියන්නේ. ඉතින් මේවා ඔක්කොම ඔයගලගේ attitudes. ඉතින් මේ වැරදි attitudes ඉගෙන ගත්තාම ඔයගොල්ලෝ වැරදි areas වලට ඔයගොල්ලෝ යනවා නේද? එතකොට මේ attitudes හදාගන්න එක ඉතාම වැදගත්. විශේෂයෙන් ලංකාවේ මම දැකලා තිනවා ගොඩාක් මේ වගේ attitudinal problems තියෙනවා ගොඩක් අයට. දැන් මේ පන්තියක වුණත් වැඩිපුරම අපි ඉංග්‍රීසි වලින්ම කතා කරොත් සමහරලාට ස්විච් ඔෆ් කරගන්න කොට්ටාසයක් ඉන්නවා. එහෙම වෙන්න නරකයි. අපි උත්සාහ කරන්න ඕනේ to try and fully understand completely in the English medium, but English medium ඉගෙන ගත්ත පළියට ඉගෙන ගත්ත කියලා ඔයගොල්ලෝ හිතන්න එපා ඔයගලගේ English improve වෙනවා කියලා. Right? Or it does not. Maybe you will learn a few words, but other than that you will not improve your English. So you need to make extra effort to improve yourself, right? Sanjit, peers means your equals, right? Say class එකක නම් class එකේ ඉන්න අනිත් ළමයි, peers, same age people, peers, right? Yeah, very true. Anton says most of them go by the that's one of the biggest problem, Anton, because I've been working with CA students for a long time, and I know that අර පොඩක් English පුළුවන් ළමයි නිතරම උනන්දු වෙනවා තව ටිකක් හදාගන්න. හැබැයි අර දුර්වලම ළමයි නිකන්වත් උත්සාහයක් කරන්නේ. ඒගොල්ලෝ ක්ලාස් එන්නේ ආවත් ඒක බාගට කරලා හැංගිලා ඉන්නවා. ඒ වගේ. So as Anton says, අර ඒගොල්ලන්ගේ immediate group එක ඉන්නවනේ. ඒ group එකේ behavior තමයි ගොඩක් අයට තියෙන්නේ. So you have to be the person who changes it නේ. So if you feel that your friends are not really keen on improving their English and they have negative attitudes like පස්සේ හදමු, ඉස්සෙල්ලා ඩිග්‍රී එක ඉවර කරමු, ඉස්සෙල්ලා CA qualification එක ගාමු, ඊට පස්සේ ඉංග්‍රීසි හදමු, ඒ වගේ දේවල් තියෙනවා ඒගොල්ලන්ගේ, you can be the person to change it නේ. So you educate them. That's why these sessions are so important to all of you. නේද? So you, because we need people like you. ඔයගොල්ලෝ ගොඩාක් මේ රටට වැදගත් කට්ටිය. මොකද දැන් මේ රටට වෙලා තියෙන දේ අනුව අපිට ඇත්තටම අවශ්‍යයි ඉස්සරහට දක්ෂ ළමයි ටිකක්. හොඳට කතා කරන්න පුළුවන්, ලියන්න පුළුවන්, දෙයක් තේරුම් ගන්න පුළුවන්. හැබැයි finance, accounting, management knowledge එක අනිත් අයට කියලා දෙන්න පුළුවන් ළමයි අපිට අවශ්‍යයි. නමුත් ඒක වෙන්නේ නැහැ කියලා මට ගොඩක් වෙලාවට හිතෙනවා. මොකද අපි දැන් අර COVID එකත් එක්ක තව ටිකක් පස්සට ගියා වගේ තමයි මට නම් හිතෙන්නේ. So you all can be the catalyst in changing that, right? හිතින් හිතන්න එපා අනිත් අය කරනකම් ඉන්නවා කියලා. ඕගොල්ලෝ ඉස්සරහට ඉදිරිපත් වෙලා කරන්න. Teach people about the importance of English, and not just English, but in English that is suitable for your profession. Right? I think last session we had a discussion about this as well. So your field is very unique. I think I mentioned that accounting, finance කියන field එක හරි විශේෂිත field එකක්. එතකොට මේ field එකේ ඔහේ නිකන් ඉංග්‍රීසි පාවිච්චි කරන්න බෑ. පාරේ තියෙන ඉංග්‍රීසි general English ඔයගලන්ට පාවිච්චි කරන්න බෑ. Because when you are dealing with international clients, customers, stakeholders, ඕගලන්ට තියෙන්න ඕනේ standard එකනේ. CA එකේ image එකත් ඕගලන්ගේ මතනේ තීරණය වෙන්නේ. Yeah, that's the thing, Shakira. I think we should all be grateful for Augusta, Anura, me ඔක්කොමලා ඕගලන්ට ලොකු support එකක් දෙනවා, because they could just sit in the office, do nothing නේ. මේ නිකන් ලේසියට ඉන්න තිබ්බනේ ඇත්තටම. So I think we all should thank CA for organizing these sessions, and I'm very happy that I was able to meet all of you, and to at least, if I could change 5 of you and convince you of the importance of English for your field. මොකද as I said, අර finance field එක හරි විශේෂිත field එකක්. ඔයගලන්ට ගොඩක් දේ කරන්න පුළුවන්. හැබැයි නැති දේ තමයි අර ඉංග්‍රීසි කියන දේ, කමියුනිකේෂන් කියන දේ. ඒක අර ගොඩක් අය හිතන් ඉන්නවා මේ සාමාන්‍යයෙන් ඉංග්‍රීසි ටිකක් කතා කරගත්තොත් ඇති කියලා. නමුත් ඕගලන්ගේ field එකට නම් ඒ වැඩේ හරියන්නේ නැහැ, because you all are the ones who are pushing this country forward, right? You have to do negotiations, business deals, acquisitions, takeovers. මේවා කරන්න ඕගලන්ගේ communication හොඳටම තියෙන්න ඕනේ නේ, හැම කෙනාටම, ලොක්කන්ට විතරක් නෙමෙයි. So you need to try and look at all of these factors to improve your English and reading skills mostly, right? So we talked about a few factors now. Think about your intelligence level, think about your motivation, home background, teaching strategies, attitudes, and other things, right? And then the next one is motor ocular discrimination. What does that mean? Motor ocular discrimination. සරලව කිව්වොත් මේ අපේ අතපය පාවිච්චි කිරීම සහ ඇස් දෙක පාවිච්චි කිරීම, hand eye coordination කියලා ඔකට සරලව කියනවා. අර චූටි කාලේ බබාලට උගන්වන්නේ, right? චූටි කාලේ මේ මොන්ටිසෝරි ගියාම මේ ඔගේ අපේ රටේ නම් ඉතින් අකුරු ගන්නනේ. අපව අපි වැරදුනේ එතනනේ නේද? අපේ බබාලා ABCD ඔක්කොම දන්නවා මොන්ටිසෝරි වල. නමුත් වෙන රටවල දැන් අපි චූටි කාලෙත් අපිට ABCD කියලා දුන්නෙම නෑනේ. අපි මුලදී කරේ ඔය කෙලින් ඉරියන් දිනවා බෝල ඇතුලේ පාටක. So that is hand-eye coordination, and you will be amazed, right? You will be surprised to hear this, because I have noted students in my classes at CEA and also in the university who do not have motor ocular discrimination. එහෙම ළමයි ඉන්නවා. ඔයගොල්ලෝ හිතුවේ නැති වුණාට hand eye coordination දුර්වල ළමයි මම නෝට් කරලා තියෙනවා. පන්තියේ ඉන්න විදිහෙන්, ඒගොල්ලෝ අපිත් එක්ක කතා කරන විදිහෙන්, ඒ දේවල් කරනකොට මට ඒ වගේ ගොඩක් අය හම්බ වෙලා තියෙනවා hand eye coordination එක ටිකක් දුර්වල ළමයි. ඉතින් ඒ වගේ වෙන්නත් පුළුවන්. එහෙම වුණොත් ඔයගලන්ට අර reading skill එක අල්ලගන්න බැරි වෙන්න පුළුවන්. Right? Then visual discrimination. Visual discrimination is the ability to look at something and understand the different components, right? Say for example, you received a letter එකක් බව අඳුර ගන්න පුළුවන්ද ඔයගලන්ට? newspaper article එකක් දැක්කොත් ඒක newspaper article එකක් කියලා අඳුර ගන්න පුළුවන්ද? book chapter එකක් දැක්කොත් ඉතින් මේවා තමයි රීඩින් වලට අවශ්‍ය වෙන්නේ. දැන් ඔයගොල්ලෝ හිතන්න පුළුවන් මේ මොනවද මෙයා මේ කියවන්නේ කියලා. නෑ, ඒවා තමයි ෆවුන්ඩේෂන් එක. නමුත් අද වෙලා තියෙන අපි ලොකු තියරිස් කතා කරනවා. හරි, නමුත් තියරිස් වලට ඉස්සෙල්ලා අපි මේ ඔක්කොම හදා ගන්නවා. මොකද අපේ ස්කූල් සිස්ටම් එකේ මේවා අපිට කරන්නේ නැහැ. So again මේ සෙෂන්ස් වල වටිනාකම මම හිතනවා අද ඉන්න කට්ටියට ගොඩක් තේරෙන්නේ නැති ඔයගලන්ට මේක මම හිතන්නේ බ්‍රිටිෂ් කවුන්සිල් ගිහිල්ලවත් ඔයගලන්ට මේ සෙෂන්ස් නම් ආයි ගන්න බෑ. මොකද මම හොඳටම දන්න දෙයක් එතන ඒ කියන්නේ ගොඩක් තැන්වල මේ ෆයිනෑන්ස් නොලෙජ් එක සහ මේ නොලෙජ් එක දෙකම තියෙන කට්ටිය ලංකාවේ ගොඩක් අඩුයි. ඉංග්‍රීසි ඩිපාර්ට්මන්ට්ස් වලත් නැහැ. ඉංග්‍රීසි ඩිපාර්ට්මන්ට්ස් වලත් ඉන්නේ ඉංග්‍රීසි විතරක් හැබැයි ෆයිනෑන්ස් මැනේජ්මන්ට් ඒ ෆීල්ඩ් එක ගැන ගොඩක් දැනුම අඩු ළමයි. අඩු ලෙක්චරර්ස්ලා අඩු කට්ටිය. ඉතින් ඒක ඒගොල්ලන්ගේ වැරද්දක් නෙමෙයි. මොකද මම උනත් එහෙමයි ඉස්සෙල්ලා හිටියේ. But I developed myself by working with all of you. Right? So I hope this knowledge is really beneficial to CA and all of our students because api asa yogolo honda loku image එකක් තියාගෙන යනවාට CA එකටත් හැමදාම එක මේ මං හරි කැමතික් CA එක මොකද මං ගොඩක් ආසාවෙන් වැඩ කරන තැනක්. ඉතින් මං හිතන්නේ අපි ඔක්කොම එකතු වෙලා හොඳ ස්ටෑන්ඩඩ් එකක් හැදුවොත් CA කියන එක ඉස්සරහට තව ලස්සනට යයිනේ. නැත්නම් ඒ ආයතනයේ ඉමේජ් එක කැත වුණොත් අපිට සමහර විට මේ තියෙන තත්ත්වෙත් නැති වෙන්න පුළුවන්, right? So think about it. Think about your English levels. Improve your reading skills because your career depends on your reading skills. Then auditory discrimination. Auditory discrimination is very simple. අර සමහර අයට ප එක ෆ එක අඳුර ගන්න බෑනේ. එතකොට දැන් ලංකාවේ විතරනේ මේ fried rice කියලා එකක් තියෙන්නේ. මොකද අපි හරිය ආඩම්බරෙන් කන බත් එකක්නේ. එතකොට අපි ඒකට කියන්නේ fried rice කියලා. මොකද ලංකාවේ අය ගොඩාක් ආඩම්බරෙන් කන බත් එක තමයි fried rice, right? ඉතින් ඒ වගේ අපිට සමහර අයට සද්දේ වෙනස් අඳුර ගන්න බෑ. පද කිව්වේ කියලා තේරෙන්නේ. Language facility is the grammatical knowledge, linguistic knowledge, ethical. It was finally, it is important to understand your interest area. මොනකටද ඔයගොල්ලෝ ආස ගොඩක් කියවනකොට නේද? මොන වගේ දේවල් කියවන්නද ආස? ඒ වගේ ඔයගොල්ලන්ගේ interest එකත් හඳුනාගෙන තියෙන්න ඕනේ. එතකොට ඔයගොල්ලන්ට අනිවාර්යයෙන්ම reading becomes a really enjoyable skill. Yeah, I think I agree with Anton also. I don't think people think about those areas, no, Anton, because a lot of people are just talking about speech craft, presentations, but actually, ඔය ඔක්කොටම foundation එක සමහර වෙලාවට අර pronunciation, tone variation, emphasis, right? ඔය වගේ දේවල් ගොඩක් තියෙනවානේ. එතකොට ගොඩක් අය දන්නේ නැහැ මේ දේවල් හරියට කරන්න. So I think that's kind of like a very cool suggestion by Anton. Right? Okay, what do we read, everyone? Now this is, I don't think I have to explain this to you, but some people might not be aware. නේද? දැන් අද අපි රෝබෝට්ස්ලා වගේ වෙලානේ ගොඩක් වෙලාට උදේට ඔෆිස් යනවා, ඔය වැඩ ටික කරගෙන යනවා, ගෙදර එනවා. ටිකක් අවධානයෙන් වැඩ කරන අඩු බවක් පේනවා. ඒක නිසා පොඩක් බලන්න. Right? So what do we read? We read so many things, right? Calendars, addresses, phone books, name cards, bank statements, right? Clothes, size labels. ඒවත් දැන් අපි මේ දවස්වල ඇඳුම් ගන්න යනවානේ. ඔයගොල්ලෝ එතකොටත් රීඩින් තමයි කරන්නේ. මේ මගේ සයිස් එක හරියයිද? ඒ රීඩින් තමයි. right? ඒ අපි හිතන්නේ නැහැ නේ ඒවා රීඩින් කියලා. නමුත් ඒවා reading තමයි. හැබැයි හොඳ ඒ කියන්නේ ගැඹුරු reading නෙමෙයි, right? So newspapers, application forms, store catalogs, advertisements, posters, travel guides ඔය ඔක්කොම ඉතින් reading තමයි නේ. එතකොට ඔයගොල්ලෝ නිතරම read කරනවා. නමුත් අවධානයෙන් කරන reading උත් තියෙනවා, අවධානයෙන් නැතුව කරන readings උත් තියෙනවා. So you should always, in order to improve your reading skills as a finance professional, you should always focus on more deeper reading, like web articles, right? Magazine articles, newspaper articles, non-fiction, fiction, all of these, right? Rather than just reading emails, memos, SMS messages. Okay, so remember I told you that there are two types of reading. මේ අපි ගත්ත ටික අරගත්තොත් all of these can be broken down into the two different styles of reading. Okay, so on one hand we read for pleasure, right? So for උදාහරණයක් විදිහට read for pleasure කියන්නේ දැන් අපි ඇඳුමක් ගන්න ගියාම size එක හොයනවනේ read for pleasure. I think ඇඳුම ගන්නකොට ආසයිනේ, right? Read for pleasure. But generally we read for pleasure when we are reading fiction, right? Say novels, short stories, news, gossip දැන් ඉස්සර පත්තර තිබ්බනේ කොවිඩ් එකට ඉස්සෙල්ලා ලංකාවේ පත්තර කියලා જાතියක් තිබ්බා. නමුත් දැන් පත්තර නැති වෙලා තියෙනවා. So but online පත්තර තියෙනවා. ඔයගලන්ට share මං හිතන්නේ සමහර වෙලාවට ඔයගලන්ගේ යාළුවෝ share කරනවා ඇති. So at least please subscribe to one of those online newspapers and make it a habit to read at least the finance and the management pages, or just news in general. මුකුත්ම බැයින gossip column ටික හරි read කරන්න. So that falls under reading for pleasure. Reading for pleasure is a different type of reading where you behave in a certain manner, as opposed to reading for information. So ඔයගලගේ office එකේදී ඔයගොල්ලෝ වැඩියෙන්ම මොකද්ද කරන්න ඕනේ? Reading for pleasure ද reading for information ද? office එකේදී reading for pleasure කරන්න යන්න එපා. රසාවෙන් හස් කරයිනේ. ඒක නිසා reading for information. So if you receive an email, if you receive a business proposal, if you have to look at audit information, audit reports, නේද? එතකොට bank reconciliation මේ ඔක්කොම මොනවාද? ඔයගොල්ලෝ read for information, and you are trying to tally information, look at information, process information. So all of this is part of reading for information. So you need to behave in a different way. Reading for pleasure කියලා කියන්නේ වෙනමම behavioral system එකක්. Read for information කියන්නේ ඒතර ඔයගොල්ලෝ මේ දෙක කරනකොට වෙනස් විදිහට හැසිරෙන්න ඕනේ. ඒක දන්නේ නැහැ ගොඩක් අය. හැමෝම හිතන්නේ reading කියන්නේ හැමතැනම එකයි කියලා. So let's look at what happens, right? What are the difficulties most of you face when you don't know these two different styles of reading? Number one, give me a second. I'm checking something. Yeah, okay. So number one, the very first stage that I showed you earlier. If you're doing reading correctly, the very first stage is decoding stage, right? So decoding, as I told you, is sounding things out. So you should be able to sound out even if you don't know the words. But a lot of people have decoding difficulties, as I said. So they find it very difficult to sound out words and recognize words, right? Sometimes they confuse letters and sounds. සමහර වෙලාවට ප එක ඩ එක පැටලෙනවා, p එක d එක පැටලෙනවා. පොඩි ළමයින්ටත් එන්නේ ඒ වගේ. ඒ වචන කියව ගන්න බැරි වෙනවා. සමහර අය ඔයගොල්ලෝ විශ්වාස කරයිද දන්නේ මේ ඔයගොල්ලන්ගේ අතරෙත් ඉන්නවා. p එක ලියන හැමතැනම d එක ලියන ළමයි මට හම්බ වෙලා තියෙනවා CA එකේදී. right? p එක වෙනුවට d ලියනවා එයා. හැමතිස්සෙ එක්ක b එක වෙනුවට d එක ලියනවා. ඒතර ඒ කියන්නේ ඒගොල්ලන්ට මේ decoding issue එකක් තියෙනවා. Yeah. ඊළඟට slow reading rate when reading aloud, right? එතකොට තව කට්ටියක් ඉන්නවා හරිම හිමින්. ඒගොල්ලන්ට ඉක්මනට රීඩ් කරන්න බෑ. හරිම හිමින්. ඒ කියන්නේ ඊමේල් එකක් ගත්තොත් විනාඩි 15ක් විතර යනවා හරියට රීඩ් කරන්න. Reading without expression. So when you read also you need to understand the emotions that are expressed. දැන් client කෙනෙක් නම් විශේෂයෙන් letter of complaint එකක් එවුවොත් නැත්නම් එහෙම දෙයක් එවුවොත් අපිට පුළුවන් වෙන්න ඕනේ මේ වචන පිටිපස්සේ තියෙන හැඟීම තේරුම් ගන්න. එයා කේන්තියෙන්ද මේක කියන්නේ, disappointment එකෙන්ද මේ ගැන ලියලා තියෙන්නේ, එයාගේ මොන වගේ emotion එකකින්ද මේ client මට මේක එවලා තියෙන්නේ. දැන් ගොඩක් අයට ඒ emotional intelligence එක නැහැ office එකේ. එතකොට ඔය ඒවන ඔක්කොම ලියුම් එක වගේ කියලා අර ආණ්ඩුවේ ඉන්න අයත් ඒ වගේ නිසමන රාජ්‍ය සේවකයොත් ඒ වගේ තමයි. මිනිස්සෙගේ තියෙන ඒ feelings ඒගොල්ලන්ගේ ඒ තියෙන හැඟීම් තේරුම් ගන්න බෑ ගොඩක් අයට. එතකොටත් අසාර්ථකයි reading කියන එක. Ignoring punctuation while reading. Okay, I'll just send my email address here itself. But I think you can get it from the office also. Okay, I'll just put my email address in the chat, right? Okay, so decoding difficulties. Now I'm going to take you into a little activity. This is a fun thing to do. Probably you have come across something like this before, but let's see. Okay, right, so this is activity. I want you to try this out, read it out to yourself. Can you read this? And if you can read this, can you tell me what is the problem here? Okay, so shall we ask someone to read it out? Let me see if I can see your names. Okay, do we have Chalaka? Chalaka, are you there? Can you try to read this out if possible, if you are there?
Chalaka, you can speak if you want. Chalaka, you can speak.
Chalaka? If you can't, it's fine, right? If you can't, just let me know. We can move to another person. So Chalaka, if you're there, just let me know. Can you read it? Can you not read it? Let me know. How about Navodya, sorry. Navodya, are you there? Navodya, you can unmute. I think Anra is there, no? So
Yeah. Now you can speak.
Yeah.
No, you can speak.
yes.
Now there.
Yes, the words are not correct.
Sorry?
The words are not correct.
Okay, very good. You noticed that, but can you give it a try? At least, can you read the first sentence here?
Here you can see what great
Yeah. Here you can see what?
things your brain does for you.
Wonderful. Very good,
I
Navodya.
pronounce first.
Yeah, very good. So see, Navodya is not stopping now. Okay, very good job, right? So everyone just look at it, and I think Navodya very correctly noticed it. Then ගොඩක් අයට ඒක notice වෙන්නෙත් නැහැ, right? මොකද්ද මෙතන තියෙන වැරද්ද? You can see that all the words here, right? All the words here are spelled incorrectly. Just imagine if you are writing like this in the exam, නේද? exam එක ගෙදර ඇවිල්ලා හිටගෙන ඉඳි මොනවාද මේ ලියලා නමුත් see how beautiful, see how powerful our brains are, right? What this means is that even if the letter order or the spellings of a word is incorrect, our brain still has the ability to decode the sounds and the words. කොච්චර පුදුමයිද නේද මේ human brain කියන එක කොච්චර වටින දෙයක්ද කොච්චර අපිට train කරන්න තව තියෙනවද කියන එක තමයි මම මේකෙන් පෙන්නන්න හදන්නේ, right? So remember, the very first thing you need to understand about yourself is to check whether you have decoding problems. So decoding problems තියෙන ළමයෙක්ට මේ text එක කියවන්න බෑ. එයාට තේරෙන්නේ නැහැ මේ තියෙන්නේ මොනවද කියලා. So we know that there are various illnesses like dyslexia, ADHD ඒ වගේ තියෙනවා නම් සමහර අයට මේ ටෙක්ස්ට් එක තේරෙන්නේ නැහැ ඒගොල්ලන්ට. I hope all of you have watched that wonderful Hindi movie where Amir Khan was acting. මොකක්ද ඒ ෆිල්ම් එක? Did anyone watch it? බැලුවේ නැත්නම් බලන්න. It's like superb film about dyslexia. Right? ඉතින් ඒ වගේ දේවල් ගැනත් අපි යම් අවබෝධයකින් ඉන්න ඕනේ. So this text actually tells you the power of your brain. Even if the spelling is wrong, your brain still has the ability to read it, as Navodya did very well today. It just says that here you can see what great things your brain does for you. As long as the first and the last letter of a word do not change, the order of the other letters can be jumbled and you are still able to understand the text, right? So ඔයගලන්ට decoding issue එකක් තියෙනවද කියලා බලා ගන්න මේ activity එක කරලා බලන්න. මේක කියවන්න බැරි කෙනෙක් ඉන්නවා නම් ඒ කියන්නේ එයා special help එකක් ගන්න වෙනවා. ඒ වගේ අයට special trainers ලා ඉන්නවා. ඒගොල්ලන් help කරනවා reading කරන්න. Right? Okay, so that's a fun thing to do. Second one that I'm going to do today is about comprehension difficulties. So remember, comprehension is the second stage of your reading. You decode first, then you comprehend the text. So here again, there are a lot of people who have problems with comprehension. So first of all, there are people who are confused about the meaning of words or sentences. Some people can't connect ideas in a passage. Some people just gloss over detail. ඒ කියන්නේ ඔය සමහර ළමයි ඉන්නවා දැන් exam එකේදී වුණත් අපි හිතමු true false questions දීලා තියෙනවා කියලා පොඩි paragraph එකක් කියවලා true the false ද අහලා තියෙනවා. ගොඩක් වෙලාවට ඒවා වැරදින්නේ අර මෙන්න මේ වැරද්ද කරන අයගේ omission or glossing over details. සමහර අය අකමැත්තක් තියෙනවා හරියට details කියවලා තේරුම් ගන්න. මොකද ඒගොල්ලන්ගේ එක්ක decoding difficulties තියෙනවා. එහෙම නැත්නම් ඒගොල්ලන්ගේ reading strategies වැරදි. ඒගොල්ලෝ ඉගෙන read කරන විදිහ වැරදි නිසා ඒගොල්ලන්ට අන්න ඒ වගේ දේවල් කරන්න බෑ. So omission or glossing over details. So if you're working in the office, again, if you're doing any writing, any reading, you need to pay particular attention to the details, right? Say, for example, the profit and loss ratios. දීලා තියෙනවා හොඳට ඒ වගේ දිහා අවබෝධයෙන් අවධානයෙන් බැලුවේ නැත්තම් අපේ analysis එක වරදිනවනේ. ඉතින් ඒ වගේ අපි හැමදේම හරි පරිස්සමින් ඉගෙන ගන්නවා. සමහර අයට 15 කිව්වත් එකයි 50 කිව්වත් එකයි. ඒ දෙකම තේරෙන්නේ නැහැ. ඒ දෙකම අනිත් පැත්තට ලියනවා. Right? ඉතින් මේ වගේ ලොකු වැරදි ප්‍රමාණයක් කරන්න පුළුවන් ඔයගොල්ලන් මේ comprehension difficulties තියෙනවනේ. Difficulty distinguishing significant information from minor details. So ඒකත් ඔය ගොඩාක් අයට තියෙන වැරද්දක්. මේ ලියුමක් දැක්කහම ලියුමක් කියවුවහම ඒකේ තියෙන ප්‍රධාන කරුණු වෙනුවට මේ චූටි කොනක තියෙන දෙයක් අල්ලගෙන ඒක දිගට යනවා. අර හරියට රණ්ඩු කරන කට්ටිය ඉන්නේ ඔෆිස් වල. අපි කියන්නේ එක දෙයක් නමුත් කියනකොට කියපු තව දෙයක් චූටි දෙයක් අල්ලගෙන දිගට රන්. ඒ වගේ මිනිස්සු ඉන්නෝ රීඩ් කරනකොටත්. ඒගොල්ලන්ට මේජර් ඩීටේල් පේන්නේ චූටි කොනක තියෙන දෙයක් අල්ලගෙන ඒගොල්ලෝ ඒක පස්සේ යනවා. I think you need to check all of these when you are doing reading. Are you doing any of these mistakes, right? Lack of concentration during reading. ඒකත් ලොකුම ප්‍රශ්නයක්. Especially I have experienced this while training people for IELTS. IELTS වල ගොඩක් මේ සමහර ස්ටුඩන්ට්ස් ලා ඉන්නවා ඒගොල්ලන්ට රීඩින් පේපර් එක කරගන්නම බෑ. රීඩින් පේපර් එක කරන්න බැරි මොකද the questions are so tough if you don't have these basic skills in reading. ඒක ගොඩාක් අමාරුයි මොකද within 60 minutes you have to answer 40 questions and හරිම අමුතු විදිහට තමයි ඒකේ questions උත් ඒගොල්ලෝ දෙන්නේ. අපේ වගේ නෙමෙයි. Right? Let's do a little activity again. So this time we are trying to learn about comprehension difficulties, right? So let's see if any of you have comprehension difficulties, right? මේ activity එකේ බලාපොරොත්තුව තමයි ඔයගලන්ට comprehension difficulties තියෙනවද කියලා හොයාගන්න එක, right? I'm going to ask you to read this paragraph very quickly, then I will give you a little task to do, and let's see how many of you can send me the answers in your chat. Okay, so let me be silent. I want all of you to read this paragraph, and then I will reveal what I want you to do with this paragraph. Right. So let's move to the activity now. If you have read this correctly, and if you have a good reading comprehension, you should be able to tell me these three things in the passage. Okay. So here are the three things I want you to identify from the passage and tell me where these three things are located in the passage. If it is difficult for you to try and answer all three, at least select one of these and send me your answers in the chat. Okay, I want you to identify an instance of comparison in the passage. I want you to identify an instance of cause and effect in the passage, or I want you to identify one instance of sequence in this passage. Okay, so I'm going to give you 2 minutes. I want everyone to give it a try, because you are going to identify whether you have comprehension skills or not, right? එතකොට යම් කිසි කෙනෙක්ට comprehension දුර්වලතාවයක් තියෙනවා නම් මෙන්න මේ activity එකෙන් හරි ලේසියෙන් අපිට ඒක අල්ල ගන්න පුළුවන්. එතකොට බලන්න ඔයගොල්ලෝ අවංකව මේක කරලා ඔයගලන්ට පුළුවන් මේ හරිම නම් මේ තුනම පුළුවන් වෙන්න ඕන. ඒ කියන්නේ එකක් හරි බැරි නම් ඔයගලන්ට ඒ කියන්නේ comprehension difficulty එකක් තියෙනවා. ඒ කියන්නේ ඒකට එහෙනම් පිළියම් ඔයගොල්ලෝ යොදාන්න ඕනෙමයි. නමුත් at least for today's purpose, I just want you to send me answers to one of these items, right? Can you identify an instance of comparison, cause and effect, or sequence? So let me go back to the paragraph again. And yeah. So this is the paragraph. So Right, 2 minutes to everyone. I would like you to read it once more. Tell me, you don't have to write the full thing, just send me the first 2 to 3 sentence, 2 to 3 words of the particular sentence. Okay, very good. Sanjit has sent in one answer. Let's see if it is correct or not. Others also need to try. Okay, let's see if you have comprehension difficulties when you are reading. Okay, very good. Nishantini has also sent in one answer. Others, hurry up. And I would also encourage everyone to look at the other two areas, not just the comparison part, right? What about cause and effect and sequence? Ravindu, what do you mean by they soon? Which one is that? Is it comparison, cause and effect, sequence? Which one are you referring to? Abhishek, your answer is partly correct. Can you complete the answer? Okay. So Nishantini has also sent in about the cause and effect. Okay, Ravindu, okay. Referring to number 2, cause and effect. Very good. Abhishek? Yeah. Right? Okay, so I want everyone to do this without fail. And I want you to think about what I said, right? Don't just forget about what we did after I finished the session today. I want all of you to remember this little activity because it can really help boost your comprehension skills when you are working in the office as well. So when you read letters, memos, even exam questions, I want you to think about it. Are there any comparisons here? Are there any cause and effect here? Is there a sequence here? Right? So try to ask those questions from yourself and see if you can truly understand the meaning the author is trying to convey. Try to keep your personal opinions away from what the author here is trying to communicate to you, right? So let me show you the answers, right? Comparison and contrast. What do we mean by comparison and contrast? Now check your answers, right? What is similar or different between two ideas? So there is a very clear comparison here. I think most of you gave this answer correctly. So the passage, this paragraph is comparing between the narrative ledger system and the double entry system. නේ දැන් ඔයගලන්ට මේ හොඳටම තේරෙන ටොපික් එකක් මේක. මේ වෙන දේවල් නෙමෙයිනේ නේද? So there is a comparison contrast going on in this passage between the narrative ledger system and the double entry system. So I think most of you got that one correct. So let's move to the difficult areas. Cause and effect ගොඩක් අයට බැරි වෙන්නේ මෙන්න මේ තැන. ගොඩක් අයට comparison ටිකක් තේරෙනවා. නමුත් cause and effect එක තේරෙන්නේ නැහැ. මොකද්ද මේ cause and effect කියන්නේ? විශේෂයෙන්ම ඔයගලන්ගේ finance field එකට, accounting field එකට වැදගත්ම දෙයක් තමයි මේ cause and effect, the ability to read and write about cause and effect. Very, very important for your profession. Right? මොකද ඔයගලන්ගේ තීරණ මත තමයි company එකක් රැඳෙනවද නැති වෙනවද කියන තීරණය එන්නේ. ඉතින් ඔයගොල්ලෝ cause and effect ගැන හොඳටම දැනගෙන ඉන්න ඕනේ ඔයගලගේ field එකේ වැඩ කරනකොට. How does one idea or event cause another idea or event? How does one idea or event cause or create another idea or event, right? So I think a few of you have mentioned this correctly. හැබැයි ගොඩක් අය වැඩි මේක mention කරේ නැහැ. එතකොට ඔයගොල්ලෝ අහන්න ඔයගලගෙන් ඇයි මම cause and effect උත්තරේ දුන්නේ නැත්තේ කියලා, right? So here මෙතන අපිට ගොඩක් cause and effect sections දකින්න පුළුවන්, right? So give me a second, I'm going to draw on this, right? So right, මෙහෙම ගත්තොත් අපිට මෙතන ගොඩක් comparison contrast කොටස් පේනවා. So let's see, right? Not comparison, cause and effect, right? So we can see that okay, මෙන්න මේ බලන්න මේ තියෙන්නේ ඔක්කොම මේ cause and effect, right? Bookkeepers had to read through large volumes of written descriptions, right? They had to just to simply decide to add an amount or deduct an amount. So this is the result. What is the cause? The cause was that the narrative ledger system, right? Then මේ narrative ledger system කියන එකේ nature එක තමයි මෙන්න මේ දේ cause කරේ. narrative ledger ඔයගොල්ලෝ දන්නවනේ මට වැඩිය narrative ledger system එකකදී නැත්නම් ledger system එකේදී කොහොමද මිනිස්සු මම හිතන්නේ මට example එකකුත් මට පෙන්නන්න පුළුවන් ඉස්සර කාලෙම. මෙන්න මේ තියෙන්නේ මේ so this is how they used to record financial transactions. So this is called the narrative ledger system. So you can see that they're using a story type of method. Monday, May 12th, in exchange of 3 chickens, which I provided today, William Smallwood, laborer, promised a satchel of seed when the harvest is completed in the fall. ඉතින් මේ වගේ තමයි ඒගොල්ලෝ ඉස්සර financial transactions done. එහෙනම් මොකක්ද cause එක? Narrative ledger system, the nature of narrative ledger system. What is the result? The bookkeepers had to read through a large volume of written description just to decide whether to add something or to delete something, right? So because of this one, the මේකත් cause එකක් බවට පත් වෙනවා. මොකද්ද? මෙන්න මේ දේ සිද්ධ වෙන්න. Right? මේක මේ ගොඩක් written description වැඩි වෙච්ච නිසා again this caused this thing. What? They switched to the double entry system. එහෙනම් එතකොට මේක cause එකක් වෙනවා, right? මේක result එකක් වෙනවා. එතකොට මේකත් cause එකක්, right? පැහැදිලිද? එතකොට cause එකක් පළවෙනි එක narrative ledger system එක cause එකක් වුණා. ඒකේ result එක උනේ එතකොට bookkeepers had to record a lot of information. මෙන්න මේ කොටස. හැබැයි ඒ දේම නැවත cause එකක් බවට පත් වෙලා they switched to the double entry system that became the final result of this. So did you understand this? When you first read the paragraph without my help, did you understand it? Right? මේ මම කියන විදිහට තේරුණාද ඔයගලන්ට? එහෙම නැත්නම් ඒ කියන්නේ ඔයගලන්ගේ comprehension යම්කිසි ප්‍රමාණයකින් අඩුයි, දුර්වලයි. ඒ කියන්නේ ඒක හදාගන්න ඕනේ කියන එක, right? And finally, let's move to the next part, that is the sequence. So sequence කියලා කියන්නේ මේ අර ඇඳුම් වලට අල්ලන sequence නෙමෙයිනේ. එහෙනම් මොන sequence ද දැන් මේ කතා කරන්නේ? The time frame, the time factor, right? So how do we know the time factor? Obviously, the passage starts with a word long ago. So we know this is past, but more than this, right? But more than this, sequence means which came first, which came later, which came the last, right? අන්න ඒ වගේ අදහසක් තමයි මේ sequence කියන්නේ. ඒතර මොකද්ද මෙතන මේ sequence කියලා තියෙන්නේ? මෙතනින් අපිට තේරුම් ගන්න පුළුවන් මේ narrative ledger system එක තමයි ලෝකයට පළමුවෙන්ම ඇති වුණේ. ඊට පස්සේ තමයි මේ double entry system කියන එක ආවේ. මම හිතන්නේ ඒක ලේසි. හැමෝටම මේක තේරෙන්න ඕනේ. ඕගොල්ලන් මේ මට්ටමේ ඉන්නවනම් right ඒක තේරෙන්න ලේසි. නමුත් මේ cause and effect එක තමයි ගොඩක් අයට ප්‍රශ්න ඇති කරන්නේ. හැබැයි cause and effect තමයි ඕගොල්ලන්ගේ profession එකේ ගොඩක්ම අවශ්‍ය දේ. ඒතර ඕගොල්ලන්ට පේනව නේද මේ පුංචි activity එකෙන් ඕගොල්ලන්ගේ career එකට වැදගත්ම කොටසක් ගොඩක් අයට read කරනකොට අහුවෙන්නේ නැහැ කියලා. right ඉතින් මෙන්න මේ දුර්වලතා ටික ඕගොල්ලෝ හදාගත්තොත් you can really have a very confident level of English, right? So just make sure me mama dunne punchi example එකක් විතරයි. There are many things that comes under reading comprehension. ඉතින් ඔයගොල්ලෝ කියවනකොට කරනකොට ඔයගලන්ට තව ගොඩාක් practice අවශ්‍යයි මේකට. ගොඩාක් theories තියෙනවා. ඉතින් ඒ ගැන හිතන්න. I just gave you a brief overview of what is meant by reading comprehension. දැන් අපිට උත්තර වලිනුත් තේරෙනවා සමහර අයට හොඳට 3ම පුළුවන්, සමහර අයට 2යි පුළුවන්, සමහර අයට 1යි පුළුවන්. ඉතින් එහෙනම් ඔයගලන්ගේ මට්ටම ඔයගොල්ලෝ ඒ අනුව තේරුම් ගන්න ඕනේ. ඒක කිසිම වැරද්දක් නෑ. Don't blame yourself, right? Don't blame yourself. Don't take it as an insult. Just take it as a learning opportunity. තමන්ට 2යි නම් තේරුනේ, ඇයි 3වෙනි එක නොතේරුනේ? චුට්ටක් අහන්න. ඊට පස්සේ චුට්ටක් උනන්දු වෙන්න මේ reading skill එක වැඩි කරගන්න, right? So I hope everyone is clear. Right, so far in the session, we have done a lot of discussions about the basic reading skills, and we talked about what is reading, how to recognize a good reader, what are the stages of a reading process, what is meant by decoding, comprehension, retention, and what are the weaknesses or difficulties that each of you might be facing in each of these 3 areas. And we have already done several activities, right, based on these ones, so that you know what sort of difficulties you have. So antimatama ada api karanne menna me retention difficulties. So I have a very small activity for this one also organized. Retention difficulties. So what is meant by retention? We talked earlier that it is not enough to just read something and understand it, right? But you need to also remember what you have already read. If you forget it very quickly, if you can't at the end of reading a letter or a memo, if you can't remember the main points, then there's a problem in your retention. So trouble remembering or summarizing what is read. Is there a problem when you try to summarize things, right? Difficulty connecting what is read to prior knowledge, difficulty applying content of a text to personal experience, inability to view content from multiple perspectives. So මෙන්න මේ ඔක්කොම retention difficulties බවට පත් වෙනවා. Right, so finally I want to finish our session by giving you a very small tip about using annotation to improve all of these problems that we talked about today. If you know how to use annotations, you will definitely improve a lot of problems that you have with your reading skills. So my final advice to you today is start using annotations. So I'm going to end our session by showing you a very general video about what is annotation and how to annotate and use it for your overall reading skill improvement, right? So let's watch the video. I want you to note down anything important that you find, but before we watch it, I just want to say that this is not a very high level video. I use it with my university undergraduates. So it's kind of like a very simple method, product general topic එකක් ඕගලන්ගේ profession එකටම කියලා තියෙන එකක් නෙමෙයි. නමුත් it's really useful to improve your reading skills, right? So let me share the video with all of you. And while you are watching, if you have any questions or anything that you don't understand about today's session, you can actually post it in the chat function, right? So I'm going to share the video with you now. I'm trying to share it. Can you let me know if you can see this, everyone? Shakir says, okay, thanks, Ante. Shakir says, Madam, says, yeah, of course. I don't know like how I did work with the Kalani University recently, but I don't know. Sessions like this, I'll be more than willing, but of course, physically traveling to Calania is a very difficult thing. I'm always ready to do like an online session or a few sessions, but please go ahead, Shakir. If you have any contacts, they already know me. I was working with recently. I was working with Mr. Bandar from the accounting department. I think he was from marketing department. So I was working with Mr. Bandara, and I spoke to like the dean of the Faculty of Management and Commerce there. Yes, please go ahead and yes, not Saman Bandara. It was another Bandara. I can find out and let you know. He was a very good gentleman. And I designed the syllabus for the final year students there. So sure, if you know any context, please go ahead and you can contact me on my email address and let me know what your requirements are, right? Because I hope this message gets spread everywhere, no? Because reading, especially for accounting students, finance students, has become a very major obstacle, right? So I think we need to send this message to everyone, and we feel that the finance management field is actually now far behind in their communication skills, presentation skills. නේද? ගොඩාක් පස්සට ගිහිල්ලා කියලා මට පොඩ්ඩක් හිතෙන අර කොවිඩ් නිසා. නැත්නම් අපි යම් මට්ටමක හිටියා. but අර CA එකේ ළමයිත් එක්ක මට වැඩ කරනකොට පහුගිය කාලේ තේරුණා අර හැමෝම online හින්දා සද්ද නොකර ඔක්කොම switch off කරගෙන ඉන්න නිසා they did not really fully participate. So that's why these sessions are so important to all of you, right? So I'm going to finish the session today by playing this. Just please do let me know if there is an issue with the audio. I'm going to play the recording. And as I said, this is a general video, but it's anyway very interesting.
I can reach any goal today. I can do what I want. I can be what I want to be.
Hi guys, I'm Katie Azevedo from schoolhabits.com. Today's video is about how to annotate your text while you're reading. And if at any point during this video you like what you see, please give it a thumbs up, or better yet, click subscribe. True though. So first things first, annotating means taking notes on a text, either in a book or an article or something similar. So to annotate means to take notes. Now you might be wondering why the heck you'd want to annotate anyway. For so many reasons, but the most important reason you'd annotate is for a deeper understanding of the material. So taking notes on your text helps you comprehend what you're reading on a much deeper level than if you were to just read it straight through. So here are 4 major benefits of annotating. Number 1, it keeps you awake and engaged as you read. You have to stay awake. And it reduces your chances of fake reading syndrome. I coined that. I think, when you read and you think you're reading and you're not. Number 2, it helps you process what you're reading as you're reading it. Number 3, it slows down your reading, which is actually a good thing because decreasing your pace can often increase your comprehension and retention. And number 4, it double whammies as a way to quickly find information later on. So in other words, when you go back to find something later, you can just read your annotations, which is faster than reading the actual text a second time through. So how do you annotate? Just as there are so many types of learners, there are so many different techniques that suit different students. You might have to experiment for a while to see what does and doesn't work for you, but there are some basic annotation principles or rules to keep in mind as you figure out your system. So here are 11 annotation techniques that you might find helpful. Number 1, circle any unfamiliar words as you're reading, and then look them up and write down the definition. Here's a little hack. If you get the dictionary.com app, you can look the word up in like 2 seconds on your phone. Keep your phone right next to you. Not that you should have your phone when you're studying, but say. Number 2, use question marks in the book to indicate areas of uncertainty. So anytime you're reading and you're like, what? Put a question mark. Number 3, use stars to indicate anything that seems important, such as themes or symbols or foreshadowing. Number 4, use exclamation points to indicate something dramatic or a key turning point or something you want to come back to. Number 5, circle or mark somehow. Pick a shape. Use a trapezoid. I don't even remember what a trapezoid looks like. Circle any character names anytime they are introduced for the first time in the book. Number 6, keep a list somewhere, maybe on the inside cover, of all the characters and their traits. And you would add to this list as new characters are introduced or as you learn more about the existing characters. Number 7, write your notes in the margins, which is the best method, on sticky notes, which is a decent method, or in a separate notebook, which is your least favorable method. But if you don't own the book, you can't write in it, so you might have to do that. Number 8, paraphrase, which is a summarization technique. Each chapter after you finish reading it. Now, you only need a few sentences to do this. So write it down, write your little summary down at the beginning or the end of each chapter. Take the time to do this right after you read the chapter and not like 5 chapters later. Number 9, write down any questions that you have about the text. Either questions you're willing to wait to find out the answer to as you read further, or questions that you want to bring up to your teacher in class the next day. Number 10, we're almost there. Use a color-coded system if that type of thing appeals to you. Colors, yes. Number 11, give each chapter a title. So after you finish reading each chapter, go back to its title page and give it a title. Now, the title should simply be the main idea of the chapter or statement about the main event in the chapter. If the chapter already has a title, chances are that it's just a catchy one. It's interesting and not helpful. So still go ahead and title it yourself with a little summary statement. Here's a note though. If you're reading a text on your tablet or your iPad, you can still annotate. There are so many cool apps that allow you to circle, underline, highlight, use a trapezoid, doodle, whatever. Just do a basic search for annotation apps and you'll find a bunch. I annotate PDF, I think is a good one. I don't know if things have changed, but that used to be a good one. I think you have to pay for it though. Check it out. So when you're reading and you're annotating, keep in mind that your notes should represent your thoughts. Your notes should represent your interaction with the story, with the author, the characters, etc. You don't worry about writing things down that just sound smart just because you think that's what your teacher wants. It's totally pointless. Let your annotations really reflect your true thoughts and feelings as you read. Hopefully you have some. But if you really listen to your inner voice as you read, the voice that says, huh? Why'd that happen? Or, oh, that's awesome. Or, that's not a good sign. All those things that pop up into your head when you're reading, then the whole process of annotating is so much easier. You think it up here, you write it down here. And you'll have to think less about it that way. I promise. Now, last 2 words of caution though. First, annotating text is a skill that you'll develop more and more as you do it more and more. So as you first start off, you might not annotate much at all, because you're not sure where to start. And if that's the case, keep checking back to the 11 annotation techniques that I just walked you through and check to see which one you need to be doing more of.
Okay, I will stop it there. So the rest of it is about her blog and everything. But I hope all of you kind of understood what the video was talking about, right? And so the main point in the video is, in order for you to understand what you are reading, use annotation, right? So what is meant by annotation, according to the lady in the video, is that you need to interact with what you are reading. දැන් අපේ රටේ ඒ ගොඩක් අඩුයි වෙනවනේ. මොකද අපි අර ඉගෙනගෙන තියෙන සිස්ටම් එක අනුව අපිට මේ දේවල් ගොඩක් අඩුයි පුරුදු පුහුණු කරලා තියෙනවා. අපි දන්නේ නැහැ එහෙම කරන්න ඕනේ කියලා. එතකොට so one of the best things, now today we spoke about decoding errors, comprehension errors, retention errors. මේ හැම දෙයකටම හොඳ සොලියුෂන් එකක් ගන්න පුළුවන් එක ටෙක්නික් එකක් තමයි අද මම ඔයගලන්ට කියලා දුන්නේ. මොකද මේ ටයිම් පීරියඩ් එක ඇතුලේ හරි අමාරුයි හැමදේම. තව ගොඩාක් ටෙක්නික්ස් තියෙනවා. නමුත් මෙතනින් පටන් ගන්න. Annotation, right? So always, now she gave you some online tools and stuff like that. So if you are interested, just check it out. But ඒ නැතත් අර ipdf.com ඒක නැතත් දැන් ඔයගලන්ට පුළුවන් PDF වගේ දෙයක් කියවනකොට PDF එකේ තියෙනවා ඔයගලන්ට මාක් කරන්න පුළුවන් දැන් නේ. ඔයගලන්ගේ account එකක් තියෙනවා නම් ඔයගලන්ට Office 360 වගේ තියෙනවා නම් ඔයගලන්ට මාක් කරන්න පුළුවන් PDF documents වල. So මොකද්ද මේ annotation කියන්නේ? Annotations කියලා කියන්නේ ඔයගොල්ලෝ හරි reader කෙනෙක් නම් ඔයගලන් නිතරම දෙයක් read කරනකොට ඔයගලන්ගේ ඇතුලේ dialogue එකක් යන්න ඕනේ. Right? ඕගලත් එක්ක කතා බහ කරගන්න ඕනේ මේ දෙයක් read කරනකොට. ඒ කතා බහ කරන දේ කොලේ අයිනේ ලියා ගන්න එක තමයි annotations කියලා කියන්නේ. So if you are confused about something, if you are surprised about something, if there is a calculation to be done, ඔය ඔක්කොම annotate කරගන්න. එතකොට ඕගලන් අනිවාර්යයෙන්ම ඉබේම ඕගලන්ගේ මේ reading skill එක improve වෙනවා. එතකොට එහෙනම් මොකද්ද මේ ඔක්කොගෙම කියන්නේ? Reading skill is very important for your career, but it is very, you can't expect quick results out of it, right? You need to be patient with yourself and practice reading almost every day. So here is another very, very useful resource for all of you. මම ගිය සැරේ sessions දෙකේම වෙනම resources වගේක් ඔයගලන්ට share කරා. හැබැයි අද මේ කියලා දෙන resource එක ඔයගලන්ගේ career එකටත් ගොඩක් helpful වෙනවා. මමත් මේක නිතරම කියවන එකක්. ඉතින් you just need to create a free account. මෙන්න මේක කියවන්න පුරුදු වෙන්න. තව ගොඩක් දේවල් තියෙනවා. හැබැයි at least try to make it a habit to read at least one article per day or one article every 2 days. හරි. මොකද ඒගොල්ලන්ගේ articles හරිම වැදගත්. ඕගොල්ලන්ගේ සාමාන්‍ය දැනීම වැඩි අර කලින් කිව්වා වගේ ඔක්කොම කරත් reading improve වෙන්නේ නැත්te සමහර අයගේ සාමාන්‍ය දැනීම දුර්වලයි. ලෝකේ ගැන කිසිම දෙයක් දන්නේ නැහැ. තමන්ගේ field එක ගැන විතරයි දන්නේ. Right? So you don't know what is going on in the politics of the world. You don't know what is happening in the economy of the world, the country. You don't know things about religion. You might not know things about cultures. එහෙම වුණාම අපි කොච්චර දේවල් read කරන්න හැදුවත් reading becomes a very difficult, very boring, tedious task, right? So one of the biggest things you can do is to improve your general knowledge about the world that you are living in. So නිකන් ඔයගලන් ඔෆිස් යනකොට බස් එකේ හරි කොහේ හරි ඉඳගෙන යනවනේ ට්‍රාන්ස්පෝර්ට් එකක මෙන්න මේ දේ කියවන්න පුරුදු වෙන්න. Harvard Business Review. So it is, you can very easily create an account and they will give you free articles. මම නම් ඉතින් කරලා තියෙන accounts දෙකක් හදලා තියෙනවා. ඉතින් articles 6ක් ගන්න පුළුවන් මට හැම මාසෙම. So they give you very interesting articles on business related, finance related topics. ඉතින් අඩුම ගානේ මෙන්න මේ වගේ දෙයක් හැමදාම කියවන්න ඉගෙන ගන්න. read කරන්න. කියවනකොට නිකන් read කරන්න එපා. ගොඩක් හොඳයි ඔයගොල්ලෝ annotations කර කර read කරනවා. මොකද එහෙම බෑනේ office එක යනකොට. ඉතින් ඒක නිසා අඩුම ගානේ ඔළුව ඇතුලෙන් annotations කරන්න ඉගෙන ගන්න. ඒ කියන්නේ ඔළුව ඇතුලෙන් දෙයක් read කරනකොට conversations ගෙනියන්න ඉගෙන ගන්න. මම මේක read කරා මේක හරි ෂෝක්නේ. මේක මම දැනන් හිටියේ නෑනේ. මේක අපේ රටට වැදගත්නේ. read කරනකොට අපිට අන්න ඒ වගේ දේවල් හිතෙන්න ඕන. ඒක තමයි annotations කියන්නේ. So annotations ලියන්න පුළුවන් නම් ගොඩාක්ම හොඳයි. නමුත් ඔයගොල්ලෝ office transport එකට යනවා නම් ඒ වගේ travel කරන වෙලාවක නම් බැරි නිසා අඩුම ගානේ ඔළුවෙන් හරි annotations ගන්න ඉගෙන ගන්න. Your reading comprehension, retention and decoding all improves with annotations plus reading something high standard like Harvard Business Review, right? So that's all, everyone. I hope you understood today's session, and I hope you benefited from today's discussion. And as I said, many of us in Sri Lanka actually don't have correct training on reading skills in the English language, and we always try to apply our mother tongue techniques into English reading. So we obviously end up feeling very disappointed and sometimes very upset at our reading skills. නේ මොකද අපි උත්සාහ කරන්නේ නිතරම අපේ mother tongue එකෙන් අපි read කරනකොට කරන දේම English වලින් කරන්න හදනවා. ඒක සුදුසු නැහැ කියලා මම ගිය සැරෙත් ඩිස්කස් කරනකොට කතා කරා. අපේ mother tongue එක කියන්නේ වෙනමම භාෂාවක්. Usually Sinhala comes from Indo-Aryan languages. Tamil comes from Dravidian languages, but English is a Romance language. එතකොට මේ විවිධ භාෂා වර්ග. ඉතින් අපි කරන්න හදන්නේ Indo-Aryan language එකක තියෙන දෙයක් අරගෙන ඒක බලෙන් ඉංග්‍රීසි මත, ඒ කියන්නේ Romance language එකක් මත පටවන්න හදනවා. ඒක හරියන්නේ නැහැ. ඒක සාර්ථක නැහැ. මොකද අපි ඉංග්‍රීසි වලින් දෙයක් read කරනවා කියන්නේ ඒගොල්ලන්ගේ කල්චර් එක මත පදනම් වෙලා ඒක තේරුම් ගන්න ඕනේ කියන. අපේ කල්චර් එක මත බදාගෙන ඉඳලා ඒක තේරුම් ගන්න ගියොත් අපි confuse වෙනවා අනිවාර්යෙන්. Right? So as you see, reading is a very, very complex skill, but it's a skill that Sri Lankans usually never give attention to, unfortunately. ගොඩාක් syllabus පවා මම දැකලා තියෙනවා reading හරිම දුර්වලයි. ඒ කියන්නේ සමහරවිට exam papers වලත් reading question එකක් දාන්නේ සමහර අය. grammar විතරයි. එක්ක writing විතරයි. reading එක හරි අඩුයි. සමහර passage shooting පොඩි passage එකක් දීලා නිකන්. ඉතින් මේ වැරදි නිසා අපේ reading skill එක ළමයි අතර ගොඩක් දුර්වල වෙලා තියෙනවා. සහ අර මං කියපු දේ මේ there's no one to come and check whether you are doing reading correctly. So you can do whatever you want, and as a result of that, I feel that, and also the impact of COVID really has now dragged down the standards that were there before COVID period, right? So now there's a huge challenge for all of us to bring it up to the previous levels at least very quickly, so that it doesn't really have a big impact on your careers, on your ambitions in the future, right? So we did a lot of activities today. I hope you all were able to identify some of your weaknesses in your reading skills. koi පැත්තේද තමන්ගේ දුර්වලතාව තියෙන්නේ කියලා ඔයගොල්ලෝ සමහර අයට මම හිතන්නේ activities හරියට කරා නම් තේරෙනවා. decoding issues ද තියෙන්නේ ඔයගලන්ට, comprehension issues ද නැත්නම් ඔයගලන්ට තියෙන්නේ retention issues ද කියලා ඔයගලන්ට activities කරලම අපි බැලුවා, right? So I hope everyone enjoyed the session, you benefited as I said, and yeah, so that's it. I just wanted to say thank you to everyone who participated and sent in your answers. There were a lot of people who were very active in the session, which I really appreciate, right? So thank you very much, everyone, and I hope all of you kind of continue to think about what I said today, and I hope all of you improve your English skills, not just reading, for the sake of CA and all of your careers. Wish you all the very best, and good night, everyone. Good night, everyone then.
Good night, everyone.